Chapter 204. 50 million peerless spiritual stones had already reached the price of the divine moon essence. However, most people felt that the divine moon essence was not worth 50 million peerless spiritual stones. As for the minor soul refining art, 50 million peerless spiritual stones was far from the final price. After all, the Sun Moon Star sect and the Wansho sect had not made their move yet. 80 million! Just as the profound weapon grandmaster's bid was shocking, an old and domineering voice rang out in the auction hall. He Qing had made his bid. Everyone couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. As expected of the Myriad Beasts sect, the first thing they asked for was 80 million peerless spirit stones. This price had already far exceeded the limit of many people. Even Xia Yunran shook his head with a bitter smile and gave up on bidding. He knew that the next battle would be between the Sun Moon Star sect and the Wansho sect. Perhaps the profound weapon grandmaster would be able to compete for it. After all, as the strongest upper blacksmith in the Great Barren Ancient Kingdom, the profound weapon grandmaster's wealth was beyond imagination. However, Xia Yunran found it strange that Ling Qingqing had no intention of competing for the minor soul refining art even though she represented Ling Juechen. After all, Ling Juechen was the national advisor of the Great Baron. Not only was he deeply trusted by the Great Baron King, but he was also an upper alchemy grandmaster. He should be very interested in the minor soul refining art. 90 million! Yueshen's cold voice rang out after He Qing made his bid. In Box 6, the profound weapon grandmaster frowned slightly. He only had 50 million peerless spiritual stones on him. It was not enough to compete with the Sun Moon Star sect and the Wansho sect. However, he did not plan to give up on the minor soul refining art so easily. I bid 50 million peerless spiritual stones and a Tao artifact, the soul extinguishing sword. The profound weapon grandmaster gritted his teeth and made his bid. What? Everyone was shocked, and their eyes were filled with disbelief. 50 million peerless spiritual stones was one thing, but the soul extinguishing sword was a supreme Tao artifact. Very few people in the 8 Desolation region could forge a Tao artifact. A Tao artifact contained the will of heaven and earth. It was a powerful weapon that only noble realm experts could use. The soul extinguishing sword was very famous in the royal capital. It was the profound weapon master's only Tao weapon. It was said that it was obtained from an ancient ruin. Because of the soul extinguishing sword, the profound weapon master became one of the famous experts in the royal capital. For the minor soul refining art, he was simply crazy. He actually took out 2 soul extinguishing swords. If the soul extinguishing sword were to be auctioned off, it would probably fetch a whopping 100 million supreme grade spirit stones. That meant that the profound weapon grandmaster would be willing to bid for the minor soul refining art. Ling Xiao also revealed a trace of surprise. He did not expect this profound weapon grandmaster to value the minor soul refining art so much that he did not hesitate to exchange it with a Tao artifact. He had underestimated the minor soul refining art. L soul stones. 4 profound soul art. In private room number 3, He Qing frowned. The price had exceeded his expectations. For it? He Qing said indifferently with a hint of coldness in his voice. This was the Great Desolation Ancient Country. It wasn't a country under the Wansho sect. Otherwise, they wouldn't have to go through so much trouble. The Wansho sect could easily get the minor soul refining art to hand it over. The price of 1 million spirit crystals shocked everyone. Spirit crystals contain the purest source spirit chi. Generally, Sky Human Realm experts would need to use spirit crystals to increase their cultivation. Supreme grade spirit stones were no longer enough to satisfy their needs. Spirit crystals were rare in the 8 Desolation region. Most of them were in the hands of martial holy lands. Therefore, spirit crystals were rare. Originally, 100 supreme grade spirit stones could be exchanged for a single spirit crystal. However, because spirit crystals were simply too precious, 200 supreme grade spirit stones could only be exchanged for a single spirit crystal on the market. In fact, one might not even be able to obtain a single spirit crystal. Therefore, He Qing bid 1 million spirit crystals. That was equivalent to 200 million supreme spirit stones. Seeing the price, even the profound weapon grandmaster shook his head and gave up. Although the profound weapon grandmaster had some wealth, he couldn't compare to a martial holy land like the Wanshou sect. Senior sister, what should we do? 1 million spiritual crystals has already exceeded our expectations this time. I didn't expect the Wanshou sect to be so generous. They are willing to spend so much for a mere minor soul-refining art. Xia Hongxiu's eyes revealed a trace of worry. It's okay. The minor soul-refining art will be ours. The moon goddess's eyes flashed with brilliance. She said faintly, I'll pay 1 million spiritual crystals and a divine sun stone. As for the price of the divine sun stone, I would like to ask the Great Desolation Auction House to ask the person who has the minor soul-refining art. 1 million spirit crystals was fine. But what was the divine sun stone? Many people revealed a trace of doubt in their eyes. The divine sun stone. The Sun Moon Star sect is really generous. It is said that the divine sun stone is a yang stone that fell from the sun. It contains the power of yang. It is said that it is a supreme treasure for refining sovereign weapons. The Sun Moon Star sect is willing to take out a divine sun stone? The profound weapon grandmaster was shocked. The yang stone that fell from the sun was a supreme treasure for refining sovereign weapons. Although everyone didn't know what the divine sunstone was, they understood these two sentences and were immediately stunned. The Sun Moon Star sect was willing to pay such a high price for a minor soul-refining art? Even the Sun Moon Star sect didn't have many treasures like the divine sunstone. In the third room, He Qing and the disciples of the Wanshou sect looked gloomy. Damn it! The divine sunstone is a treasure used by the sun god lineage of the Sun Moon Star sect to cultivate the true sun technique. There are only 3 pieces in the entire Sun Moon Star sect. How could the moon god have a treasure of the sun god lineage? How could the sun god lineage agree to exchange the divine sunstone? He Qing's expression was extremely ugly. He understood what the sun divine stone meant and how precious it was. The divine sunstone was a priceless treasure for the sun god lineage of the Sun Moon Star sect. Elder He, although the divine sunstone is precious, it has limited uses like the sun moon essence. I am afraid that the person who auctioned the minor soul refining art might not like it. We still have a chance. A disciple of the Wanshou sect said. We can only hope so. Otherwise, I am afraid that the minor soul-refining art will fall into the hands of the Sun Moon Star sect. He Qing's eyes were filled with unwillingness. If they were not in the Great Barren Ancient Kingdom, he would not have to be so restrained. He could just snatch it. Chapter 205. In Room 9. Ling Xiao immediately stood up, his eyes revealing a trace of incomparable excitement. Sun's sacred stone? It's actually the sun's sacred stone? I didn't expect the Sun Moon Star sect to be willing to take out the sun's sacred stone for the minor soul-refining tactic. Ling Xiao's breathing quickened, and he couldn't calm down. The sun's sacred stone was a top-notch treasure like the sun moon essence. It was also a top-notch yang attribute spiritual seed. Ling Xiao was still worrying about how to get the yang attribute spiritual seed, but he didn't expect Yueshan to give it to him directly. He couldn't let go of the sun's sacred stone. Jiao Mu agreed to the auction. 1 million spiritual crystals, a piece of sun's sacred stone, and the minor soul refining tactic for the Sun Moon Star sect. Ling Zhao's eyes lit up as he said slowly, Yes, young Master Ling. Jiao Mu was also excited. He knew that the yin and yang attribute spiritual seeds were very important to Ling Xiao. He didn't expect someone to send him a pillow just as he was about to doze off. The minor soul refining art had been sent to the Grand Desolation Auction House by Grandmaster Jimu. Moreover, with Grandmaster Jiamu's status, he was able to maintain the highest level of confidentiality. Even the princes were unable to find out who had sent the minor soul refining art. Soon, someone from the Great Barren Auction House came to ask for Master Jiao Mu's opinion. Master Jiao Mu also informed the auction house of Ling Zhao's decision. In the auction hall, Xia Rui's ears twitched. He glanced at the crowd with a smile and said, "We just asked the senior who sent the miner's soul refining tactic. He thinks that the sun's sacred stone is a priceless treasure." The Sun Moon Star sect offered 1 million spiritual crystals and a piece of sun's sacred stone, which made him very satisfied. Therefore, the miner's soul refining tactic was won by the guest in room 2. In box number 3, the faces of He Qing and the other disciples of the Wan Shou sect became extremely ugly. The thing that they were most worried about had happened. Damn it. Don't let me know who sent the miner's soul refining tactic. Otherwise, I'll tear him into pieces. A disciple of the Wan Shou sect roared. That's right. Isn't he deliberately picking on the Wan Shou sect? Although the sun's sacred stone is precious, it's not like the Wan Shou sect can't afford it. Why should the miner's soul refining tactic be given to the Sun Moon Star sect? The disciple of the Wan Shou sect said indignantly. He Qing's eyes also revealed a trace of coldness as he slowly said, "Forget it, if I can't get the miner's soul refining art, I can only say that it's fate. Moreover, the divine sunstone is indeed very precious. We can't compete with the Sun Moon Star sect at all. Elder, are we just going to let it go? Why don't we kill the moon god from the Sun Moon Star sect and snatch the miner's soul refining technique?" The eyes of the disciples of the Wan Shou sect were filled with murderous intent. "Do you want to die?" He Qing glared at them and said, "Do you know who the moon god is? The moon god and the sun god are known as the most outstanding disciples of the Sun Moon Star sect's younger generation. They are also known as the Sun Moon Twin Stars. Each of them is a heaven-tier powerhouse. In our Wan Shou sect, only Long Zi and Feng Zi can compete with them. Even I can't guarantee that I can take down the moon goddess. If you have such thoughts, you will only be courting death." "What? Is the moon god that strong?" The eyes of the disciples of the Wan Shou sect were filled with disbelief. Don't underestimate the moon god. Even the sect master said that the sun god is inferior to the moon god in terms of talent and potential. During this period of time, all of you had better behave yourselves and wait for the experts from the sect to arrive. He Qing warned them. Yes. The disciples of the Wan Shou sect were shocked and their arrogance was reduced as they replied in a deep voice. After the minor soul refining technique was decided, the auction came to an end. Without a doubt, there were many twists and turns in the auction and everyone was shocked. Especially the secret battle between Ling Xiao, the Wan Shou sect, and Qin Fengdao. Ling Xiao had also bought the Sun Moon Divine Essence with 50 million spiritual stones. However, the most shocking thing was that the mysterious moon god from the Sun Moon Star sect had bought the minor soul refining technique with 1 million spiritual crystals and a divine sunstone. That was a spiritual crystal. The entire Great Barren Ancient Kingdom did not have that many spiritual crystals. After all, the spiritual crystal mines were in the hands of the 5 martial arts sanctums. Therefore, there were many experts in the 5 martial arts sanctums. In the Great Barren Ancient Kingdom, a sky-human realm expert was considered an overlord. Everyone was even more curious about the owner of the minor soul refining technique. At this moment, Ling Xiao and Master Jiao Mu had arrived at the backstage of the Great Barren Auction House. They had successfully settled all the accounts and received 1 million spiritual crystals, the Sun Moon Divine Essence, and the Divine Sunstone. With the 1 million spiritual crystals, Ling Xiao would be able to cultivate for a long time. Moreover, Ling Xiao's net worth had also become extremely high. The Sun Moon Divine Essence and the Divine Sunstone were the key to Ling Xiao's breakthrough to the second level of the heaven-devouring secret skill. Therefore, this auction was a great harvest for Ling Xiao. In another room, Qin Fengdao had also obtained the jade disc of the 7 destruction slash as he had wished. However, he had spent 30 million spiritual stones to buy the jade disc of the 7 destruction slash. This made Qin Fengdao's heart ache. The entire Qin family had suffered a great loss. Ling Xiao, when I have successfully cultivated the 7 destruction slash, I will definitely kill you. Qin Fengdao said through gritted teeth. His eyes were filled with cold killing intent. Buzz. When Qin Fengdao took out the black jade disc that he had obtained, the 2 jade discs buzzed and began to emit a mysterious and ancient light. Faint talisman scripts spread out, and there seemed to be black lightning lingering on the jade disc. An incomparably sharp saber intent spread out, as if it could break the firmament and shatter the world. It was extremely strong, tough, and vast beyond compare. Clang. A crisp sound was heard. The two jade discs merged together in an instant. Black ripples spread out in all directions. Magical symbols lingered around. The two jade discs merged together and turned into a black jade knife. It looked very ancient and very peculiar. Moreover, Chen Fengdao could faintly see mysterious words appearing on the jade disc. Damn it, there is another seal? Chen Fengdao injected his genuine qi into the jade disc to sense it. Instantly, he felt as though there was a layer of fog surrounding the jade disc. He could not see the words on the jade disc clearly. Chen Fengdao's expression became somewhat unsightly. Young master, let's go back and ask old master for help. As long as we can break the last seal, we will be able to obtain a powerful heaven-class martial skill. The black-robed middle-aged butler said excitedly. All right, let's go back. When I have successfully cultivated the martial skill on the jade disc, it will be the death of that bastard. Chapter 206. Senior sister, why did you pay such a high price for the miner's soul refining spell? Also, do you know who the owner of the miner's soul refining spell is? Xia Hongxiu was confused. Although the miner's soul refining spell could increase one's spiritual power, it could only increase one's spiritual power to the level of a supreme alchemy master. There were a few alchemy masters in the Sun Moon sect. Although the miner's soul refining spell was precious, it wasn't worth exchanging the Sun God Stone for it. The Sun God Stone was the lifeblood of the Sun God's bloodline. The Moon God had only borrowed it from the headmaster this time, but she had actually exchanged the Sun God Stone. If the Sun God's bloodline found out, there would be a lot of trouble. The Moon God smiled faintly. Hongxiu, the miner's soul refining spell can increase the spiritual power of alchemists and blacksmiths, allowing them to level up. But do you know what spiritual power is? Xia Hongxiu paused and shook her head. Spiritual power was too intangible. If one didn't touch that level, they wouldn't be able to understand it. Spiritual power is one of the origins of life. The Moon God said faintly. The three treasures of the human body are spiritual power, qi, and spirit. A person is nurtured by the world and has a strong body. For example, the power of blood and qi is spiritual power. When you step onto the path of martial arts, you absorb spiritual qi and cultivate innate true qi and innate gang qi. That's the qi refining stage. Once you become one with the world and step into the celestial realm, you'll touch the intangible spiritual power. It's the development of the brain's potential and unpredictable means. The Moon God's voice was calm, but in Xia Hongxiu's ears, it was as if a door to the origin of martial arts had been opened. It made her focus more and more. If a celestial realm cultivator wants to break through to the noble realm, the biggest bottleneck is spiritual power. If you can get a secret method to increase your spiritual power, even if it's just a little bit, it'll greatly increase your chances of breaking through to the noble realm. However, the secret method to increase spiritual power is a legend. It might have appeared in the ancient times, but it's very rare in the 8 Desolation region now. So, you know how precious the minor soul refining spell is, right? It's not as simple as cultivating a few alchemy masters and blacksmiths for the sect. More importantly, it's so that the people of the Sun Moon sect can have a higher chance of breaking through to the noble realm. Moon God's voice was cold, but it was firm. It made Xia Hongxiu's body shake. The noble realm was a realm that made people tremble just by mentioning it. A noble realm cultivator had the power to destroy the heavens and earth. It could be said that they were the strongest cultivators in the entire Ba Huang region. Even the current Great Desolation Ancient Kingdom did not have a noble realm expert. The fact that it could increase the chances of reaching the noble plane showed how incredible this minor soul refining spell was. No wonder the Wanshou sect was so desperate to get the minor soul refining spell. If the Moon Goddess hadn't taken out the Divine Sun Stone, the outcome would have been different. However, how did the Moon Goddess know that the mysterious seller needed the Sun God Stone? The reputation of the Grand Desolate Auction House was extremely good. Even though it belonged to the Xia clan, if an esteemed guest wanted to keep it a secret, even the princes and princesses would not be able to find out. Only the Grand Desolate Emperor would know the identity of that person. The moon goddess seemed to have seen through Xia Hongxiu's confusion. She smiled and said, "I have indeed guessed the identity of the owner of the minor art of soul tampering." "Who is he?" Xia Hongxiu's interest was immediately piqued. Heaven's secrets must not be revealed. The moon goddess's eyes lit up as she thought of that familiar aura. A handsome face appeared in her mind. On the other side, He Qing and the disciples of the Wanshou sect were all gloomy. They paid the spiritual stones and received the treasures from the Grand Desolate Auction House. Then, they returned to the hostel of the Wanshou sect. He Qing and the disciples of the Wanshou sect were very upset that they didn't get the minor soul refining spell. Especially He Qing, who knew the significance of the minor soul refining spell to the Wanshou sect. Now that it was in the hands of the Sun Moon Stars sect, there was no need to think about getting it. Go and find out who auctioned the minor soul refining art. Perhaps we still have a chance. As long as we find that person, he must have a handwritten copy of the minor soul refining spell. He Qing's voice was cold and there was a murderous glint in his eyes. Many disciples of the Wanshou sect were shocked and answered, "Elder, this is the dragon tiger pellet that we got from the auction." A disciple of the Wanshou sect presented a jade box. There was a pellet the size of a longan in it. It shone brightly and emitted a fragrance. There was also the image of a dragon and a tiger. "It is indeed the dragon tiger pellet," He Qing exclaimed. The gloominess in his eyes lessened. After all, it was good for the Wanshou sect that Ling Shao did not get the dragon tiger pellet. "He Fei, you are now at LV6 Dragon Tiger Realm. This dragon tiger pellet is for you. Try to break through to the Grandmaster realm as soon as possible." He Qing's eyes flashed as he looked at a disciple of the Wanshou sect. He Fei was a member of the He clan. When He Qing obtained the dragon tiger pellet, the first thing he thought of was his own clan. The other disciples of the Wanshou sect looked at He Fei with envy, but they didn't dare to show any dissatisfaction. He Fei was overjoyed. He hurriedly knelt down and bowed to He Qing, saying, "Thank you, Elder. Thank you, Elder. Take it now. I will protect you and help you break through to LV9 Dragon Tiger Realm." A hint of satisfaction appeared in He Qing's eyes. Although he did not know alchemy, he could tell if the dragon tiger pellet was real or fake. It was not easy to get such a precious pellet, even in the Wanshou sect. He Fei carefully took the pill and took a deep breath. He suppressed his excitement and swallowed the pill in one gulp. Boom! He Qing's body emitted a powerful fluctuation. Suddenly, a light flashed in his hand. A green light curtain spread out and covered He Fei. The dragon tiger pellet was very powerful. It contained the power of dragon and tiger. It could cleanse one's marrow and expand one's vitality. It could help one break through 3 realms. Therefore, taking the dragon tiger pellet to break through would cause a great fluctuation. Buzz! He Fei swallowed the dragon tiger pellet and a bright light flashed outside his body. All the disciples of the Wanshou sect were shocked and quickly stepped back. Junior brother He Fei is going to break through. Everyone get out of the way. It was unknown which disciple of the Wanshou sect shouted. Immediately, everyone dispersed, including Elder He Qing. Everyone's eyes were filled with anticipation. But after the light flashed, it disappeared in an instant. He Fei's face began to turn extremely red. He was sweating all over his body. He clenched his teeth as if he was trying to endure something. Chapter 207. But at this moment, an ear-piercing sound came from He Fei's body. Then, a stink filled the air, enveloping He Qing and all the disciples of the Wanshou sect. It stinks. I can't take it anymore. Why is it so smelly? Cough, cough, cough. Many disciples of the Wanshou sect froze and their faces began to contort. They screamed and covered their noses as they scrambled out. He Qing's old face also turned cold. He was completely unprepared for that overwhelming stench. It rushed straight to his brain, and he almost fainted from the stench. 2 more stinky farts were heard. He Fei felt a stirring in his abdomen. Then, a black stench filled the air and he defecated in the hall. Bastard! He Qing was so angry that his body trembled. His face was livid. He slapped He Fei and knocked him out. Looking at the filthy things in the hall, as well as the strange stench that could not be blocked out, He Qing immediately felt his heart churn, and he vomited. Master, what's wrong with the dragon tiger pill? Why didn't I see it? After leaving the Grand Wilderness Auction House, Ling Qingqing excitedly took the miner's soul refining technique back. Master Jiao Mu asked the question that had been bothering him. Of course there's something wrong with the dragon tiger pill. It's a big problem. Ling Xiao smiled. Although the dragon tiger pill looks like a dragon and tiger, it's fragrant and has a strong medicinal effect. However, it only has 1% of the medicinal effect left. The rest is all pill poison. That dragon tiger pellet was brought out from the ruins by someone. It should be a pellet from 5,000 years ago. However, it was not preserved in a complete state, causing the medicinal efficacy to evaporate. The residual medicinal efficacy is very little. If it is consumed, not only will it be impossible to break through to the third stage, it will also be harmful to the body. Those pellet toxins are not that easy to expel. I see. The Wanshou sect is really unlucky. A smile appeared on Master Jiao Mu's face. That depends on who in the Wanshou sect took the dragon tiger pill. Ling Xiao smiled faintly as a cold light flashed in his eyes. His spiritual power was extremely strong, much stronger than Master Jiao Mu's. Moreover, Ling Xiao was a supreme alchemist in his previous life and knew many ways to detect spiritual pills. Therefore, he easily sensed that the dragon tiger pellet was filled with pill poison. Only the surface layer had some residual medicinal power. At this moment, Ling Xiao saw that there were many people gathered on the street in front of him. He could faintly sense two powerful auras. Furthermore, one of the auras was very familiar to Ling Xiao. It was Qin Fengdao. What happened? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he walked over. Surrounded by the crowd, Qin Fengdao was dressed in black. His figure was slender and handsome, but his eyes were very cold. He looked at the figure opposite him, revealing a trace of killing intent. Standing a few dozen feet away from Qin Fengdao was a young man with a black saber on his back. His hair was very long and hung loosely behind his head. His face looked very cold, and it was a kind of bone-chilling coldness. His appearance was very ordinary, but his eyes were like blades. He stared at Qin Fengdao opposite him, not hiding the killing intent in his eyes. The auras between the two intertwined like two peerless divine sabers, emitting an incomparably cold sharpness. The onlookers looked at Qin Fengdao and the young man and whispered with a trace of sympathy. Leng Feng is here again. The last time he was seriously injured by Qin Fengdao was just 3 months ago. Now he wants to challenge Qin Fengdao again. Isn't he afraid that Qin Fengdao will kill him? Leng Feng is also a pitiful person. His father, Leng Jiyuan, was originally a general of the Qin family and was loyal to Qin Weishan and Qin Fengdao. However, it was said that in order to obtain a top-grade spiritual fruit in the fearsome Beast Mountain range, Qin Fengdao let Leng Jiyuan attract the attention of the demonic beasts while he escaped with the spiritual fruit. In the end, Leng Jiyuan was eaten by the demonic beasts. Yes. After Leng Jiyuan died, the Qin family chased Leng Feng and his mother out. Leng Feng's mother was also seriously ill. Leng Feng cultivated with all his might, thinking about killing Qin Fengdao at all times to avenge his father. Unfortunately, Leng Feng challenged Qin Fengdao dozens of times this year. Every time he was defeated, but every time he was able to escape. Leng Feng broke through to the Grandmaster realm with just a black-rank peerless martial art, Azura Saber technique. Such talent is simply monstrous. Yes, of the 5 young masters of the capital, the first 4 have the support of large families. Leng Feng is the only one who relies on himself. If he also has the support of a large family behind him, he might even be able to become the leader of the 5 young masters. Unfortunately, he is destined to be defeated by Qin Fengdao today. There's no other way. Not only is Leng Feng's cultivation 1 level lower than Qin Fengdao, but Qin Fengdao also cultivates an earth-rank upper martial art, 5 elements return to one saber technique. If Leng Feng didn't have an extremely powerful movement technique, I'm afraid he would have died in Qin Fengdao's hands. The crowd discussed fervently, looking at Leng Feng with eyes full of sympathy. Leng Feng, I really don't know where your confidence comes from, to still dare to challenge me? Today, I'm going to kill you completely. Qin Fengdao's voice was incomparably cold, and his body emitted an icy killing intent. Leng Feng looked at Qin Fengdao, his eyes filled with icy hatred. He said in a hoarse voice, Qin Fengdao, if not for my father, you would have died in the fierce Beast Mountain range long ago. But you repaid kindness with ingratitude and let my father die in the mouth of a demonic beast for a spirit fruit. Today, I'm going to kill you to avenge my father. Qin Fengdao sneered and said, Avenge? Your father was my Qin family's servant to begin with. It's only right that he died for me. Not just your father, you're also my Qin family's servant. But you actually dared to use a servant to kill his master. This is simply disgraceful. The one who should die should be you. The killing intent in Qin Fengdao's eyes was not concealed at all. He already had a stomach full of anger at the auction house. Now that he was provoked by Leng Feng again, it made the fury in his heart surge even more. Servant? Ha! Leng Feng laughed loudly. His voice was very sorrowful, and the iciness in his eyes became thicker and thicker. You think that you're high and mighty, but you're nothing in my eyes. If you didn't have the Qin family as your backing, if your father, Qin Weishan, wasn't a great general, what qualifications do you have to order people around here? If you were the same as me, I'd kill you like slaughtering a dog. Qin Fengdao, prepare to die. Leng Feng gave a low roar. His black hair fluttered, revealing a pair of icy cold and scarlet eyes. An incomparably powerful battle intent erupted. Clang! The long saber on Leng Feng's back was unsheathed, its sharpness unparalleled. He grabbed the battle saber and slashed towards Qin Fengdao. It was like a divine rainbow streaking across the sky, snow-white and sharp, containing an icy cold and pure saber intent as if it was going to split heaven and earth with one slash. Chapter 208. Leng Feng's saber contained a black saber radiance. It was dark and cold as if it came from hell and contained the Azura saber essence. The saber was extremely fast. Like a black lightning bolt, it arrived in front of Qin Fengdao in an instant. You're courting death. Qin Fengdao's eyes turned cold and revealed a cold murderous intent. A light flashed in Qin Fengdao's hand and an ancient war saber appeared. He slashed it towards Leng Feng. Clang! Sparks flew and the space shook. Leng Feng's body did not move, but Qin Fengdao was pushed back a few steps by the huge force from the saber. How is this possible? There was a hint of shock in Qin Fengdao's eyes. Leng Feng's cultivation was only at LV1 of the Grandmaster realm, and he was seriously injured by Qin Fengdao 3 months ago. However, Qin Fengdao immediately felt that something was wrong. The current Leng Feng seemed to have become a completely different person. His blade techniques had become even more ruthless and sharp. Moreover, there was an ice-cold, deathly stillness to them. His endless blade intent was like a huge wave that was endless. Qin Fengdao died. After Leng Feng's saber succeeded, he did not slow down and his eyes were bloodshot. His saber became more intense and black lightning circled around the saber radiance. It seemed to come from hell as it slashed towards Qin Fengdao's head. Leng Feng, you're the one who's courting death. I won't let you go today. Qin Fengdao was enraged. The powerful force of a LV2 Grandmaster exploded and the ancient war saber in his hand emitted a blazing light. Boom! Qin Fengdao slashed out with his blade. Suddenly, the blade light surged like an endless wave. 5 colored divine lights rushed out from it, showing the power of the 5 elements. There was a kind of power of the 5 elements of nirvanic destruction permeating the air. This was the 5 elements return to one saber technique, an upper earth class martial technique. It was also General Qin Weishan's famous martial technique. When the saber slashed out, the 5 elements returned to one was like the boundless heavens and earth. Of course, Qin Fengdao's current strength had not reached that level. However, the saber slash had exceeded the strength of a grandmaster and it caused the space to explode. Azura's eighth blade kill. Lung Feng roared angrily. His body was surrounded by a black light. The black light seemed to have turned into streaks of black saber light. Finally, a gigantic saber aura was formed behind him. The black light was torrential, cold, and sharp. The Azura saber skill was Lung Feng's family heirloom saber skill. Although it was only a mystic-grade peerless rank martial skill, Lung Feng had already cultivated it to the perfection stage. Furthermore, he had cultivated the Azura saber intent. The Azura saber skill only had 8 saber moves, and the 8th saber move was the strongest saber move. Rumble. The collision of the two huge blades was like a thunderclap. Divine light spread out in all directions. The sharp blade wind caused everyone to feel pain on their skin. Their eyes were filled with shock. Lung Feng and Qin Fengdao were both forced to take a few steps back before they could stabilize themselves after the raging Xiantian energy spread out. Everyone's expression changed, revealing a trace of disbelief. Not only was Lung Feng's cultivation lower than Qin Fengdao, but the Azura saber skill that Lung Feng cultivated was only a mystic-grade peerless rank martial skill. Qin Fengdao's 5 elements coalescence saber skill was an earth-grade upper-rank martial skill. The gap between the two was too big. Therefore, every time Lung Feng challenged Qin Fengdao, it would end in a crushing defeat. However, today the crowd could not believe their eyes. The Azura's 8th blade was on par with the 5 elements coalescence saber skill? How was this possible? Qin Fengdao was especially shocked. His eyes were filled with shock and his face turned ugly. Lung Feng's improvement is too fast. No, I have to kill him today. Qin Fengdao thought to himself. The killing intent in his eyes was almost tangible. He glanced at the black-robed butler who was standing at the side. The butler nodded his head discreetly. Among the crowd, Ling Zhao's eyes flashed with a glint of light. Is this the power of the bloodline? Ling Zhao muttered to himself. There was a faint golden light in his eyes. He seemed to see traces of black light emanating from Lung Feng's body. It was the aura that came from the bloodline. It was ancient, mysterious, and powerful. Moreover, there was an extremely pure origin saber essence emanating from Lung Feng's body. Qin Fengdao, pay with your life for my fathers. Lung Feng did not stop. His cold eyes locked onto Qin Fengdao as he executed the Azura saber skill and charged at Qin Fengdao. Do you think I'm afraid of you? Qin Fengdao snorted. The innate qi around his body turned into numerous saber auras. Together with the ancient war saber in his hand, they exploded with an extremely powerful force. Rumble. Lung Feng and Qin Fengdao collided in the air. Their figures crisscrossed and their speed was extremely fast. Every time they collided, it was like a thunderclap that shook the heavens and the earth. Moreover, the blazing saber radiance was like the Milky Way descending from the 9 heavens. It contained an extremely powerful force. Even the sturdy ground was left with gouges by the unparalleled saber qi. The more they fought, the braver they became. Their auras rose to the extreme. This was especially so for Lung Feng. When he challenged Qin Fengdao this time, he was prepared to kill Qin Fengdao even if he had to die. He did not think that he could defeat Qin Fengdao. However, Lung Feng felt different when he fought today. It was as if he had the help of God. Every time he struck, he could unleash 120% of his strength. Moreover, his understanding of the Azura saber essence was getting deeper. The Azura saber essence that was originally at the minor completion realm reached the greater completion realm in a short while. With the addition of the saber essence, Lung Feng's saber was faster, more ruthless, more stable, and more powerful. Therefore, even when facing Qin Fengdao, who executed the 5 elements coalescence saber skill, he was not at a disadvantage. As for Qin Fengdao, the more he fought, the more shocked he became. He felt as if Lung Feng had become a different person. Moreover, the strength of Lung Feng's body was increasing with every passing moment. At first, they were evenly matched, but later on, Lung Feng was gradually suppressing him. 5 elements coalescence, myriad saber realm. Qin Fengdao's eyes revealed a trace of sharpness. Immediately, the innate gang qi gushed out from his body. He pushed Lung Feng away with a saber strike, and his body began to emit a cold aura. 5 elements coalescence, myriad saber realm. This was the killing move of the 5 elements coalescence saber technique. Although Chen Fengdao was far from reaching the perfection realm, he could still activate a trace of its true meaning. The power of this move was unparalleled. Even after Chen Fengdao had mastered it, he did not dare to use it casually. Boom! Innate gang qi gushed out from behind Chen Fengdao. It was as if 5 divine lights were propping up the heavens and the earth. Chaotic mist filled the air. Strands of mist traversed the void and turned into incomparably sharp saber radiance. The saber in Chen Fengdao's hand hummed and vibrated. When the killing intent in his eyes rose to the extreme, he slashed out with his saber. The saber realm formed by the innate gang qi behind him also covered the sky and was about to envelop Lung Feng. Chapter 209. It is the killing move of the 5 elements coalescence blade. Lung Feng is doomed. Someone exclaimed and looked at Lung Feng sympathetically. The 5 elements coalescence blade, the myriad saber realm, was created by combining one's innate earth energy with the power of heaven and earth to create a terrifying blade radiance realm. Therefore, no one thought that Lung Feng would be able to block this move. A grave expression appeared in Lung Feng's eyes. However, he had no intention of retreating. Instead, his fighting spirit rose to its peak. Azura's 9th blade. Lung Feng spat out these 5 words. Instantly, the sound of a saber resonated throughout the area. An endless amount of black light soared into the sky, as if it had transformed into a tornado. Rumble! The void trembled slightly as a black vortex formed behind Lung Feng. At the same time, a peerless saber light was born from the vortex. It carried a dark and terrifying energy as it exploded. Azura's 9th blade? There are only 8 blades in the Azura saber technique. Where did the 9th blade come from? Could it be? Everyone's bodies shook as an extremely terrifying possibility emerged in their hearts. Self-created martial arts. Ling Xiao took a deep breath as a trace of shock appeared in his eyes. This blade had surpassed the black class martial arts and reached the earth class martial arts. It had the terrifying power to mobilize the power of heaven and earth. Ling Xiao did not expect Lung Feng's comprehension to be so terrifying. He was able to create an earth class martial arts when he was only a level 1 grandmaster. Although this saber was still very immature, and although this saber had many flaws in Ling Xiao's eyes, it was indeed an earth-level martial art. Moreover, it had a kind of imposing power. Any genius who could create their own martial arts were true geniuses. They would definitely be able to go further in the future. In his previous life, Ling Xiao only became the number 1 honorable after he created the 7 limits divine skill of devouring heaven and destroying earth. Between the myriad saber realm and the Azura's 9th blade, who was stronger? At this moment, no one knew. Rumble! Black divine light exploded. The long blade in Lung Feng's hand seemed to have a black vortex that swallowed the entire saber realm. Kacha! Beams of dazzling divine light traversed the void like lightning. Accompanied by violent explosions, the void was instantly drowned in white saber light. Chen Fengdao suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood, and his face instantly became extremely pale. He was sent flying for dozens of meters and smashed heavily on the ground. On the other hand, although Lung Feng's face was slightly pale, he managed to stabilize himself after swaying a little. Chen Fengdao was defeated. This result caused everyone to be in disbelief. It was as if they were in a dream, and all of them were stunned. In terms of cultivation and martial arts, Chen Fengdao was much stronger than Lung Feng. However, in the end, Chen Fengdao still lost. This was the first time Chen Fengdao had lost to Lung Feng over the past year. Everyone looked at Lung Feng with mixed feelings. This determined and indomitable young man had used defeat after defeat and blood to grow. He had no resources, no background, and only had the Azura saber technique. In the end, he managed to break through to the Grandmaster realm at the tender age of 20 and became one of the 5 princes of the capital. Now, he had even defeated Chen Fengdao. Even though they were just spectators, They couldn't help but feel deep respect for Lung Feng. "You've lost," Lung Feng said coldly as he walked toward Qin Fengdao. His steps were firm, and the murderous intent in his eyes was undisguised. Qin Fengdao's face contorted. His handsome face looked ferocious at this moment. He couldn't accept being defeated by Lung Feng. It was as if he had suffered a great humiliation, and his heart was filled with rage. "Lung Feng, do you really think you've won? Let me tell you, your father is my Qin family's slave, and you are my Qin family's slave. You and your father will be my Qin family's dogs for life. If I want you to die, you will die. Uncle Lei, kill him for me." Qin Fengdao pointed at Lung Feng. His voice was extremely cold, and it was filled with blazing murderous intent. Lung Feng's eyes revealed a trace of anger. Just as he was about to say something, he felt a cold and powerful palm energy coming toward him. Without hesitation, he slashed out with his saber. Boom! The black-clothed housekeeper beside Qin Fengdao had appeared behind Lung Feng without anyone noticing. His expression was indifferent as he struck out with his palm. The vast palm contained an extremely cold force and instantly clashed with the long saber in Lung Feng's hand. Crack! The long saber was instantly broken by the butler's palm. At the same time, the butler's palm landed lightly on Lung Feng's back. Lung Feng suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. He felt a cold force invading his body, and he was instantly sent flying, crashing in front of Qin Fengdao. "You're despicable." Lung Feng glared at Qin Fengdao and said furiously, "I'm despicable? Lung Feng, you're about to die, and you still dare to be so stubborn? It's only right for me to kill you. Even the government won't dare to say anything. Do you have anything to say before you die?" Qin Fengdao stepped on Lung Feng's face and laughed loudly. Lung Feng had previously escaped from him many times. Even he could not catch up with Lung Feng's strange movement technique. Therefore, in order to prevent Lung Feng from escaping again, he asked the butler in black to ambush Lung Feng and severely injure him. A level 8 Grandmaster had deliberately ambushed Lung Feng. He did not have any ability to resist at all. "Qin Fengdao, I won't let you off even if I become a ghost." Lung Feng bit his lips until they bled. His eyes were filled with unwillingness and despair. "Become a ghost? I'll make it so that you can't even become a ghost." Qin Fengdao's eyes revealed a trace of cruelty. He raised the saber in his hand and was about to slash it down on Lung Feng. Lung Feng closed his eyes as if he had accepted his fate. Tears of humiliation and regret flowed out of his eyes. The surrounding crowd was furious but did not dare to say anything. They were filled with deep sympathy, but there was nothing they could do. At this moment, an invisible sword energy swept across the sky and collided with the saber in Qin Fengdao's hand. It contained an unparalleled force. Qin Fengdao felt his arm go numb and the saber flew out of his hand. "Who's that? How dare you interfere in my business? Are you courting death?" Qin Fengdao's eyes turned cold as he looked in the direction of the invisible sword energy. "Qin Fengdao, I think you're getting more and more shameless. You can't defeat Lung Feng, so you ordered your subordinate to ambush him. How dare a piece of trash like you call yourself a young master of the capital?" The crowd parted as Ling Xiao and Master Jiao Mu walked in. Their voices were indifferent and carried a strong sense of mockery. "Ling Xiao, it's you?" Chapter 210. Qin Fengdao's eyes were cold, and there was a hint of fear in them. Although the young man in front of him was only in the Dragon Tiger realm, his combat strength was too abnormal. Even a peerless genius like Shi Tianluo had been defeated by him. Qin Fengdao had also suffered a loss at Ling Xiao's hands. Therefore, when he saw Ling Xiao come out, he subconsciously began to feel nervous. "Ling Xiao, this is a matter of the Qin family. Lung Feng is a servant of the Qin family. How I deal with him has nothing to do with you. I advise you not to look for trouble." Qin Fengdao said coldly as he looked at Ling Xiao fiercely. "It's Ling Xiao. He's the one who defeated the peerless genius of the Wanshou sect, Shi Tianluo, and inherited the title of demon-suppressing marquis?" Everyone cried out in surprise, their eyes revealing a trace of shock. The news of Ling Xiao defeating Shi Tianluo had spread throughout the royal capital. Everyone was shocked and in disbelief. How did the useless Ling Xiao, who couldn't even cultivate, become so powerful all of a sudden? Now, looking at the young man in front of them, with his snow-white robes, fluttering black hair, bright eyes, and a calm demeanor, everyone felt as if they were dreaming. There were even a few girls who looked at Ling Xiao with admiration in their eyes. Their cheeks were flushed red as they looked at Ling Xiao. I've never heard of Ling Xiao having any relationship with Lung Feng. Why would he stand up for Lung Feng? Who knows? However, Ling Xiao's status and strength is not something Chen Fengdao can compare to. He can't possibly let Lung Feng go, right? Some people discussed softly, and there was a hint of doubt in their eyes. A matter of the Qin family? Why did I hear that Lung Feng has been chased out of the Qin family? And it was because someone shamelessly killed his father? You lost to Lung Feng in a fair fight because you were not as skilled as him. However, you let your subordinate sneak attack Lung Feng. Qin Fengdao, do you have any shame? Ling Xiao sneered as he walked up to Qin Fengdao. Boom! A powerful aura emanated from Ling Xiao's body, causing Qin Fengdao's expression to change. His eyes instantly revealed a look of alertness, and he abruptly retreated. However, Ling Xiao did not attack him at all. Instead, he bent down and pulled Lung Feng up. Are you all right? Ling Xiao smiled faintly. Lung Feng was also a little surprised. He did not know why Ling Xiao had saved him. However, he had a cold personality. He replied calmly, I'm fine. Thank you. Chen Fengdao's face immediately turned red, and his eyes revealed a look of anger. Ling Xiao did not intend to attack him. He only released his aura to intimidate him, and as a result, he was scared out of his wits. Chen Fengdao felt as though he had been greatly humiliated. His cheeks were burning, and his gaze towards Ling Xiao was filled with hatred. Ling Xiao, do you really want to become enemies with my Qin family? Chen Fengdao's voice was filled with suppressed anger. Become enemies with your Qin clan? You think you're worthy? Ling Xiao laughed coldly and said, Your father, Qin Weishan, was a servant of my Ling family back then. If it wasn't for my father's appreciation, teaching him martial arts, leading him to the battlefield, and achieving great military exploits, what would your Chen family be worth? However, after my father disappeared, your father turned around and established his own faction. He sought refuge with someone else and even seized military power. He colluded with that old bastard Ling Yunxiang and plotted against me. Your Qin clan is the true traitor. You still have the face to be arrogant in front of me? Kneel down now. Ling Xiao's voice was clear and filled with righteousness. Instantly, Qin Fengdao's face turned green and white. His eyes were about to spit fire. If not for the fact that he knew that he was no match for Ling Xiao, he would have charged forward and chopped Ling Xiao into pieces. Moreover, there was a strange rhythm to Ling Xiao's voice. When the surrounding people heard it, they could not help but nod their heads. They looked at Qin Fengdao with disdain. After all, what Qin Weishan did back then was not right. Although he was now a great general and held a high position, everyone had a scale in their hearts. Ling Xiao, don't go too far. Qin Fengdao gnashed his teeth and said. His eyes flickered with the light of choosing someone to devour. He swore in his heart that once he cultivated the martial arts on the jade disc, he would definitely kill Ling Xiao. He would make him kneel in front of him and cry for 3 days and 3 nights until he died. Go too far? Qin Fengdao, you have the face to say that I'm going too far? A despicable and shameless person like you should have died long ago. Ling Xiao's eyes were very cold and revealed a trace of killing intent. He did not have a good impression of Qin Fengdao. Qin Fengdao's actions had aroused the killing intent in his heart. Seeing Ling Xiao's eyes filled with killing intent, Qin Fengdao suddenly trembled and came to his senses. Ling Xiao really wanted to kill him. Ling Xiao, just you wait. I will not let you go. 1 month later, I will watch you die at the hands of the Wanshou sect with my own eyes. Qin Fengdao did not care about killing Lung Feng anymore. He immediately turned around and fled under the protection of the black-robed butler. He was extremely fast, and as he ran, he threatened Ling Xiao. He was really afraid. If Ling Xiao really killed him regardless of the consequences, everything would be over. There would be no need for revenge. Chen Fengdao's heart was filled with hatred for Ling Xiao. His thirst for power grew even stronger. Everyone's faces were also filled with shock. Chen Fengdao was actually scared off by Ling Xiao's words? This guy was too cowardly. Everyone looked at Ling Xiao with a hint of respect in their eyes. The young man in front of them was extremely talented and had a high status. Now that he had completely revealed his abilities, everyone felt that the demon mansion was about to rise again. Ling Xiao, I owe you my life. If I don't die, my life is yours. Leng Feng said coldly. His voice was very solemn and he turned around to leave. Big brother Leng, bad news, bad news. At this moment, a dirty young man squeezed in. His face was filled with anxiety. When he saw Leng Feng, his eyes lit up instantly. Big brother Leng, come back with me quickly. Aunt's illness acted up again. Leng Feng's expression changed. His eyes were filled with anxiety as he asked, Little Nian, what's going on? When I came out just now, wasn't mother still fine? Big brother Leng, I don't know what happened either. After Aunt finished cooking for us, she suddenly fell ill. Quickly go back and take a look. The dirty young man was on the verge of tears. He sobbed as he spoke. Let's go. Leng Feng carried the young man and turned around to rush out. At this moment, Ling Xiao stepped forward and grabbed Leng Feng's arm. Leng Feng's expression turned cold. He turned to look at Ling Xiao and said, Ling Xiao, I don't have time to talk to you now. Get out of my way. Chapter 211. Master Jiaomu? Leng Feng's eyes lit up. Who in the capital didn't know of Master Jiaomu's name? The 5 profound spirit pill, 6 profound spirit pill, and 7 profound treasure pill were all over the capital, making Master Jiaomu the most popular alchemist in the capital. His reputation was second only to the Grand Tutor, Ling Juechen, and spiritual Master Chunying. If Master Jiaomu was willing to help, there was hope for his mother's illness. Thank you, Your Highness. Thank you, Master Jiaomu. Leng Feng kowtows to you. Leng Feng's eyes were filled with emotion. He actually knelt down and kowtowed to Ling Xiao and Master Jiaomu. Even though Ling Xiao had saved his life, this arrogant and stubborn young man's back was straight and upright, and he did not bend even an inch. But for the sake of his mother, he was willing to kneel down. Such a person was worthy of respect. Ling Xiao's eyes also revealed a trace of admiration. He hurriedly helped Leng Feng up and said, There's no time to lose. Let's go quickly. All right. Both of you follow me. Leng Feng stood up and took a deep breath to suppress the excitement in his heart. He carried the dirty youth and hurried toward the north of the city with Ling Xiao. The north of the city could be said to be a chaotic place in the capital. The power of the government there was very weak, and most of the people lived there. Crooks mixed in with the honest folk, and gangs stood in great numbers. It was very complicated. The dirty youth was called Zhang Xiaoyan. He was an orphan. He leaned against Leng Feng and looked at Ling Xiao curiously. He wasn't afraid of strangers. Along the way, he became familiar with Ling Xiao and began to talk non-stop. Ling Xiao also learned a lot about Leng Feng from Zhang Xiaoyan. It turned out that 2 years ago, after Leng Jiyuan died in the fearsome Beast Mountain range, Leng Feng and his mother were chased out of the great general's residence. They had been living in the slums of the north of the city. The terrain there was complicated, and it was very difficult to find them. Madame Leng was greatly affected by Leng Jiyuan's death. She once went to the fearsome Beast Mountain range alone to search for Leng Jiyuan's whereabouts. In the end, not only did she not find Leng Jiyuan, but she also contracted a serious illness. She would fall ill basically every half a month. Although Leng Feng found many doctors to treat her, she didn't get better. And in the past few months, there were signs of it getting more and more serious. She would get sick almost every few days. Auntie just had a relapse yesterday. I didn't expect her to have another relapse today. Big brother Ling Xiao, you have to save Auntie. Auntie is a good person. She treats us very well. Little Nian blinked his big eyes and looked at Ling Xiao expectantly. Don't worry, Xiaoyan. I'll do my best, Ling Xiao said with a smile. They sprinted all the way, passing through a few streets and alleys before arriving at the North City. This was a chaotic area where crooks mixed in with honest folk. It was a slum, and high officials and nobles rarely came here. The ferocious men on the side of the road looked at Ling Xiao, Master Jiao Mu, and the others with confusion in their eyes. Why would such a noble young master come to a place like North City? Ling Xiao's body exuded a powerful aura. In an instant, those malicious gazes were retracted as if they were startled. After passing through a dark alley, Ling Xiao followed Lung Feng to a small courtyard at the end. This small courtyard looked simple and crude, but it was kept very clean. There were a few plum blossoms in the courtyard, adding some warmth under the winter sun. Big Brother Lung is back. Immediately, a few dirty children darted out of the small courtyard, hugging Lung Feng's legs and holding his hands. There was even one who hung on Lung Feng's body like a teddy bear, their faces filled with anxiety. These few children looked to be no more than 6 or 7 years old. Each of them looked very smart. There was even a little girl with her hair tied up in pigtails, holding a pacifier in her mouth as she extended her arms towards Lung Feng. Big Brother Lung, quickly go and take a look at Auntie. Auntie is sick again. She's so cold. We've made so many fires, but it's useless. The little girl said coquettishly, her big eyes filled with anxiety. Yin be good. I'll go take a look now. Lung Feng's eyes revealed a hint of gentleness. He removed the few frisky monkeys from his body, then quickly walked into the house. Inside the house, there were more than 10 braziers. The charcoal emitted a warm glow, but there wasn't a trace of warmth in the room. It was even colder than outside, making one shiver involuntarily. A middle-aged woman was lying on the bed. Her features were picturesque, and she looked calm and gentle. Although she seemed to have gone through the vicissitudes of life, one could tell that she must have been a beauty when she was young. However, she didn't seem to be in a good condition now. Her face was very pale, without a trace of blood. Her lips were purple, and although she was covered with a few blankets, she was still trembling slightly. Mother, what's wrong? Lung Feng's face was filled with anxiety. He quickly walked over and grabbed the middle-aged woman's hand. It was bone-piercing cold to the touch, and there was a chill that penetrated one's heart. However, Madame Ling didn't react at all. Her eyes were tightly shut, and she looked so haggard that it made one's heart ache. Don't touch her. She's already fainted. Move aside, let me take a look. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed. When he saw Madame Lung's current condition, his gaze instantly turned serious. Lung Feng's face was filled with anxiety and apprehension. He could only look at Ling Xiao and Master Jiao Mu with anticipation. Master Jiao Mu was a famous alchemist in the capital. Perhaps he could really cure his mother's illness. However, to Lung Feng's surprise, Master Jiao Mu stood there with a smile on his face, not moving. Ling Xiao, on the other hand, sat by the bed and placed a finger on Madame Lung's wrist. Could it be that the one treating his mother wasn't Master Jiao Mu, but Ling Xiao? Lung Feng's eyes were filled with shock. Ling Xiao didn't care about Lung Feng's shock. A trace of dazzling golden gang qi entered Madame Lung's body and began investigating. Ling Xiao's brows furrowed as he did so. It's really the cold miasma poison? Ling Xiao opened his eyes. There was a glint in his eyes. Cold miasma poison? What's that? It wasn't just Lung Feng. Even Master Jiao Mu's eyes were filled with doubt. He had never heard of the cold miasma poison before. Lung Feng, Madame Lung isn't sick. She's poisoned. Judging from her condition, she must have been poisoned 2 years ago when she went to the fearsome Beast Mountain range. However, she only came into contact with a trace of the miasma then. In addition, her cultivation is also very high. That's why she could hold on for so long. Ling Xiao said slowly. Ling Xiao could sense that Madame Lung was also a grandmaster. However, now that she had been corroded by the cold miasma, she was even weaker than an ordinary person. Her flame of life was extremely weak, as if it would be extinguished at any time. Chapter 212. Young Master Ling, what is the cold miasma? Master Jiao Mu asked curiously. The cold miasma can be considered a type of poison, but it can also be considered a type of energy. It's a type of energy formed in places where the stars gather and where the coldest yin is. Earth Qi rises and miasma intersects. However, this type of energy is highly toxic to ordinary people. If one comes into contact with it, one's cultivation will be crippled. In serious cases, one will be corroded to death by the miasma. Madame Ling only came into contact with the cold miasma once, but after such a long period of corrosion, she's already on the verge of death. Ling Xiao sighed softly. What? Young Master Ling, I've looked for many famous doctors, but they all said that my mother has contracted a cold disease and can only be slowly nursed back to health. This bunch of quacks is really harmful. Lung Feng's eyes revealed a trace of murderous intent as he spoke coldly. At the same time, he felt a trace of relief. Fortunately, he met Ling Xiao today. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. You can't blame them. After all, I've never heard of the cold miasma before. It's understandable that those doctors don't know about it. Master Jiao Mu sighed. Is there a way to neutralize the cold miasma? Lung Feng looked at Ling Xiao expectantly. Yes. Ling Xiao smiled, and instantly, Lung Feng's body trembled. His eyes revealed a trace of excitement. Young Master Ling, please save my mother. My life belongs to you in the future. Lung Feng knelt on the ground with a pleading expression. Get up first. Don't kneel for no reason. Remember, a man has gold under his knees. You can kneel to the heavens, earth, and your parents. Other than that, no one else is worthy of your kneeling. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed as he raised his hand. Instantly, a surge of divine energy lifted Lung Feng up. Yes, young Master Ling. Lung Feng straightened his body and revealed a trace of gratitude in his eyes. All right, I'm going to neutralize the poison for Madame Ling. Protect me and don't disturb me. Ling Xiao said with a smile. The cold miasma was extremely difficult for others to neutralize. Even if a Heaven Realm elite was infected with the cold miasma, they would have no way to neutralize it. However, Ling Zhao's heaven-devouring secret skill was the nemesis of all strange energies and poisons. There was nothing that could not be devoured by the secret skill. The reason why Ling Xiao valued the cold miasma was the poison was because wherever the cold miasma appeared, there would definitely be the 9 heaven spirit herb. The cold miasma in Madame Lung's body gave Ling Xiao hope of Qi of B? Of was absorbed was? In was? After the heaven-devouring spiritual seed was perfected, Ling Xiao was able to control the heaven-devouring true Qi more freely. The heaven-devouring true Qi followed the meridians and spread toward the cold miasma in Madame Lung's body. Madame Lung's body was in a terrible condition. The cold miasma had taken over all the meridians in her body. Only the last of her origin true Qi was protecting her heart meridian. She was in a precarious situation. Once the cold miasma broke through her heart meridian, even Ling Xiao would not be able to do anything. Therefore Ling Xiao was very careful. He did not dare to cause the cold miasma to go berserk. He could only think of ways to devour the cold miasma bit by bit. The cold miasma was a strange energy formed by the fusion of the 9 heaven star energy, the extreme Yin cold Qi, and the miasma in the earth vein. It was very domineering. Once infected, there was no way to neutralize it. Ling Zhao's heaven-devouring true Qi was the nemesis of the cold miasma. The heaven-devouring true Qi spread out and formed a tiny golden vortex in Madame Lung's body. Traces of the cold miasma were sucked into the vortex and neutralized. After being corroded by the cold miasma for 2 years, the meridians in Madame Lung's body were very weak. Ling Xiao did not dare to be careless. Just like that, Ling Xiao used the heaven-devouring true Qi to slowly refine the cold miasma and cleanse the poison in Madame Lung's meridians. After a few hours, the cold miasma in Madame Lung's meridians were completely cleansed. The heaven-devouring true Qi was like a sweet rain. It merged into Madame Lung's meridians and started to repair the damage. Only the last ball of cold miasma surrounded Madame Lung's heart meridian, emitting a cold and evil aura. Ling Zhao's heaven-devouring true Qi shone with a golden light. It was like a huge golden net, silently enveloping the cold miasma. Devour! Ling Xiao shouted in his heart. Instantly, all the heaven-devouring true qi exploded and enveloped the ball of cold miasma. It was then pulled into the golden vortex to be refined. Phew! After a long time, Ling Xiao exhaled and opened his eyes. There was a hint of fatigue in his eyes. Even though Ling Xiao was very energetic, he had to be extremely careful for such a long period of time. Although he managed to get rid of the cold miasma in the end, Ling Xiao still expended a lot of energy. It was no different from a huge battle. "Young Master Ling, how was it?" Lung Feng asked anxiously when he saw Ling Xiao open his eyes. After waiting for such a long time, Lung Feng didn't even dare to breathe loudly. He was afraid that it would affect Ling Xiao's treatment of his mother. He was also extremely anxious and wanted to know the result. "Fortunately, I didn't let you down," Ling Xiao said with a smile. Lung Feng relaxed instantly. It was as though a huge rock had been lifted from his heart. His eyes were filled with gratitude. "Young Master Ling, thank you." Lung Feng was so emotional that he didn't know what to say. "You're welcome. Take good care of your mother. She should be waking up soon. I still have something to do, so I won't stay." Ling Xiao patted Lung Feng's shoulder and smiled. Lung Feng was stunned. He quickly said, "Young Master Ling, you're leaving already? I haven't treated you properly." "There's no need. We'll have plenty of chances in the future. If you want to look for me, just come to the Demon Mansion directly. When the time comes, I'll give you a great opportunity. However, you still have to be careful of Chenfeng. This isn't a place to stay for long." Ling Xiao interrupted Lung Feng and smiled lightly. "Yes, young Master Ling." Lung Feng nodded. The gratitude in his eyes was indescribable. Ling Xiao and Master Jiao Mu left quickly. Ling Xiao originally planned to ask Madame Leng where she was poisoned by the cold miasma after she woke up. He wanted to use that to find the 9 Heavens Spirit dissolving herb. However, after Ling Xiao completely removed the cold miasma in Madame Leng's body, he felt as though he was on the verge of a breakthrough. Chapter 213. Ling Xiao quickly returned to Demon King Manor. He did not have time to greet Li Ling and the rest. He only told Master Jiao Mu that he was going into seclusion and entered a secret chamber. Ling Xiao's body shone with a faint golden light. The golden light was in the shape of a dragon. It looked very mysterious. Ling Xiao's body exuded a faint fragrance. His skin was as clear as jade, and there was a boiling blood qi around him. The roar of a dragon could be heard faintly. The Jiao dragon body has finally reached the great perfection realm. Ling Xiao's eyes revealed a trace of excitement. The secret skill of the ancestral dragon was extremely difficult to cultivate. Not only did it require a large amount of resources, but it also required a meticulous tempering of the body. The human body was like a small universe that reflected the universe of heaven and earth. It was extremely complex and precise. The secret skill of the ancestral dragon was the evolution of the physical body. Hence, Ling Xiao's every step was extremely solid. Even though his blood had already transformed into the Jiao dragon's blood and his Jiao dragon body had reached the great perfection realm, Ling Xiao was not in a hurry to break through. He continued to temper his body, purify his blood qi, and improve his physical strength. Today, Ling Xiao's physical body had finally reached the pinnacle. He also felt that his Jiao dragon body had reached the great perfection realm. His body was flawless and exuded a faint fragrance. This was the sign of the sage body. This meant that Ling Xiao had taken a firm step on the path of physical cultivation. The second level of the secret skill of the ancestral dragon is the earth dragon body. After cultivating the earth dragon body, not only will my physical defense increase greatly, my life source will also become stronger and my recovery will be stronger. This also means that I will be able to explode with greater strength in battle. The most important thing is that after cultivating the earth dragon body, I will be able to unleash my true strength. The Wanshou sect will definitely be pleasantly surprised in a month's time. Ling Xiao thought to himself. His eyes were as bright as a golden lamp. The earth dragon body required 1 million peerless grade spirit stones, various spiritual herbs, and the most precious blood essence of the rank 6 demonic beast, the chaotic world demonic ape. Ling Xiao had already prepared them. Now that he felt that his Jiao dragon body had reached the Great Perfection realm, he planned to break through. 1,000,000 peerless Great Spirit stones flew out of the longevity ring and landed around Ling Xiao. He then set up a small spirit gathering formation. 1,000,000 pinnacle Great Spirit stones was enough for an evolved Jing realm expert to break through several realms. But to Ling Xiao, that was just one of the conditions to cultivate the Earth Dragon body. Rumble. As the spirit gathering array was activated, the void trembled slightly. In an instant, an endless amount of spirit qi gushed out as if it had turned into a fog, gushing madly into Ling Xiao's body. The Earth Dragon comes out of the Great Lake, moving the heaven and earth. Dragon and tiger work together, qi and blood soar to the heavens. In Ling Xiao's heart, the secrets of cultivating the Earth Dragon constitution appeared. Ancient runes that seemed to contain the mysteries of heaven and earth slowly merged into Ling Xiao's body like small golden dragons. The dragon's roar shook the void, emitting an ancient, mysterious, and domineering aura. Ling Xiao's body began to surge with a mysterious yellow light, faintly revealing mysterious runes. Rumble. At the same time, Ling Xiao spat out a 5-colored flame from his mouth. It spun slowly in the air, and the light was dense. It swept up the spiritual herbs and turned them into the purest essence of the spiritual herbs, which was integrated into Ling Xiao's body. Ling Xiao's body trembled slightly, and the ground beneath him began to crack. Wisps of heaven and earth qi were emitted, and they were being devoured and refined by Ling Xiao. The capital city was originally the land of the dragon veins of the Great Desolation ancient country. It contained a vast amount of dragon veins earth qi, which was extremely helpful for Ling Xiao's cultivation of the Earth Dragon constitution. Behind Ling Xiao, golden blood qi filled the air, boiling like a great river. It distorted the void and faintly formed a dragon-shaped shadow. When the dragon-shaped shadow gradually solidified, it was like an earth dragon that had awoken from ancient times. A ferocious aura filled the air, causing Ling Xiao's aura to change drastically. Swoosh! The golden chaotic world demonic ape's blood essence flowed with the luster of flames. It floated in front of Ling Xiao, and it was instantly devoured by the dragon-shaped shadow behind him. Bang! 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 It was as if the heavens were beating the drums, and the ground trembled. Ling Xiao's body seemed to be covered in flames, and in an instant, the golden glow was incomparably dazzling. It was surrounded by chaotic mist, and it turned into a huge golden vortex, which began to devour the dragon veins earth qi. Wisps of heaven and earth qi surged, and the ground trembled slightly. Along with Ling Xiao's breathing, the heaven and earth qi rose, and the scene was majestic. The aura on Ling Xiao's body was getting more and more intense, and he was undergoing a transformation. His body glowed, and there was a golden dragon-shaped aura flowing in his blood. A strange mark appeared between his eyebrows, and it looked like a dragon, a sword, and a vertical eye. It was mysterious and unfathomable. In the end, the aura on Ling Xiao's body rose to the maximum, and a dragon roar resounded once again. It was as if it had turned into a strange sound wave, and it shook the ground, spreading to an endless distance. Rumble! The ground trembled violently, and the heaven and earth qi gushed towards Ling Xiao in a frenzy. In the end, it seemed to have turned into a substance, and it contained incomparably pure energy. Ling Xiao was like a black hole, and he devoured the endless heaven and earth qi. The heaven-devouring spiritual seed refined the heaven and earth qi, and in the end, it turned into the purest energy and merged into his body. It was as if some kind of bottleneck had been broken, and Ling Xiao's cultivation instantly broke through to level 2 Dragon Tiger realm. Ling Xiao's cultivation had already reached the peak of level 1 Dragon Tiger realm, and under the stimulation of such pure heaven and earth qi, he naturally broke through. Moreover, as a large amount of heaven and earth qi was refined by Ling Xiao, his cultivation also began to rise rapidly. Initial level 2 Dragon Tiger realm, intermediate level 2 Dragon Tiger realm, advanced level 2 Dragon Tiger realm, peak level 2 Dragon Tiger realm, level 3 Dragon Tiger realm. Ling Xiao's cultivation was rising faster and faster. His entire person seemed to have entered a state of enlightenment, and he forgot about everything around him. It was a mystery within a mystery. The great barren ancient kingdom had existed for tens of thousands of years, and as the dragon vein of the great barren ancient kingdom, the capital city had accumulated endless heaven and earth chi for tens of thousands of years. This heaven and earth chi was related to the illusory fate of the great barren ancient kingdom, and at the same time, it was also a kind of origin energy. However, this kind of energy was extremely difficult to absorb and refine, and ordinary people would not dare to refine it. After all, the dragon vein was the lifeblood of the great barren ancient kingdom, so who would dare to touch it? Boom! After a few hours, when Ling Zhao's cultivation broke through to level 4 Dragon Tiger realm, he suddenly heard a furious dragon roar coming from the depths of the earth. That dragon roar was obscure and mysterious, but it made people feel as if they had fallen into an icy abyss, as if they were being stared at by an ancient ferocious beast, and their hair stood on end. Is this the great barren ancient kingdom's dragon vein? Ling Zhao's eyes flashed, and he felt a sense of spirituality from the dragon roar. He did not expect that after tens of thousands of years, the dragon vein of the great barren ancient kingdom had actually given birth to the radiance of spirituality. If it was given enough time, wouldn't this dragon vein ride the wind and transform into a dragon and soar above the 9 heavens? Chapter 214. Bastard, you're courting death. Ling Zhao's eyes revealed a trace of coldness. The dragon veins of the 8 great ancient countries in the 8 Desolates region were left behind by Ling Xiao and the Changsun sect. How dare this dragon vein attack Ling Xiao? It must be tired of living. Just as Ling Xiao was about to use his means, the space between his eyebrows suddenly became scorching hot. A strange black light flew out from the mysterious mark and instantly blended into the earth. The earth trembled, and the dragon vein trembled. This time, the dragon roar seemed to contain a wave of fear. It actually quieted down in an instant, no longer caring if Ling Xiao was devouring the Xianhuang earth qi. There was no movement at all. The mysterious mark between Ling Zhao's eyebrows dimmed and slowly hid itself. Ling Zhao's heart trembled. He felt a vicissitude, ancient, mysterious and noble aura from the mysterious mark between his eyebrows. It was as if it was a real dragon in the legends. It had actually forced the dragon vein to retreat. At the same time, in this ethereal state, Ling Xiao felt as if there was a trace of black light surging in his blood. Although it was very weak, it was indeed there. It was like a shackle that tightly locked the qi and blood in his body and locked up a mysterious power. The power of the blood. And it sealed. This blood is very similar to the blood of the legendary dragon clan. Who is my mother? Ling Zhao's heart was filled with deep doubts. Previously, Ling Xiao thought that it was because he had cultivated the secret skill of the ancestral dragon that he could exude the power of the dragon and frighten the demonic beasts in the fearsome Beast Mountain range. However, it was only at this moment that he realized that there was truly something incredible within his bloodline. Even the dragon vein of the earth had been scared away by him. Boom! At this moment, the secret chamber was filled with endless heaven and earth qi. It was like a mist that surged into Ling Zhao's body. Ling Xiao was bathed in golden light. His body was as clear as jade and exuded a faint fragrance. The dragon-shaped shadow behind him seemed to have really awakened from the endless time and space. It was vivid and lifelike, and its aura was unfathomable. In Ling Zhao's body, it was as if some mysterious shackle had been unlocked. His blood began to boil, and drops of faint golden blood flashed. In the end, they gathered crazily towards his heart and began to emit endless rays of light. At Ling Zhao's heart, there seemed to be a drop of golden blood in the shape of a dragon. In that instant, the void trembled, and an ancient and mysterious aura emanated from Ling Zhao's body. It was unfathomable. At the same time, the entire royal capital seemed to be alarmed. Just now, the entire royal capital had trembled. Thunder had exploded in the air, and an angry dragon roar had come from the depths of the earth. In the depths of the palace, in a secret room surrounded by raging flames, a middle-aged man in a black and white Taoist robe opened his eyes. His bright and wise eyes were filled with astonishment. The wrath of the dragon veins? Who was it that dared to provoke the dragon vein? The royal capital is becoming more and more restless. There seemed to be lightning flashing between the middle-aged man's nose and mouth. As he breathed in and out, the earth trembled, making him seem incomparably mysterious. I have to break through as soon as possible. This time, Qing Qing has obtained the resurrection grass. Everything is ready. I just need to break through to the realm of Supreme Alchemy Master and refine the resurrection pill. The middle-aged man's eyes flashed with a glimmer of light, but he slowly closed them again. In the Wanshou Sect's inn. The aura of the dragon vein? The dragon vein in the royal capital is protected by powerful restrictions. Even the Wanshou sect can't do anything about it. Who was it that alarmed the dragon vein? He Qing opened his eyes, and there was a trace of bewilderment in his eyes. In the spiritual medicine pavilion, spiritual master Chun Yang had a ruddy complexion and white hair. His eyes were old and wise, and he exuded an otherworldly aura. At this moment, there was lightning flashing between his nose and mouth, and his body was filled with a mysterious energy. If Ling Xiao were here, he would definitely notice that spiritual master Chun Yang's mental strength was as vast as the sea. It was unparalleled. The dragon vein is moving, and the world is in chaos. This land is going to be restless again, the old voice echoed, and it was accompanied by a sigh. Then it slowly calmed down. While the dragon vein was raging and the earth was trembling, Ling Xiao didn't know that countless powerful people in the royal capital were awakened with shock. After all, the dragon vein in the royal capital was too precious. Not only did it involve the fate of the great desolation ancient country, but it was also a natural treasure ground. It gathered the essence of heaven and earth, and the experts in the royal capital far surpassed those in other places. Once something happened to the dragon vein, the mountains and rivers would shatter, and the universe would tremble. Something terrifying would happen. Therefore, many people were nervous. There were even powerful martial artists who began to investigate the land, wanting to know what was happening to the dragon vein. However, the initiator of all this, Ling Xiao, didn't know what was happening in the outside world. He was immersed in his cultivation and forgot about everything. Rumble! Golden lightning flashed around Ling Xiao, and chaos filled the air. There was a faint golden dragon that shook the heavens and earth, and it exuded the same aura as Ling Xiao. In the end, a clear dragon roar resounded. Thousands of rays of auspicious light filled the air, and divine light rose. The golden dragon phantom instantly merged into Ling Xiao's body. Ling Xiao's internal organs, muscles, bones, skin, and even meridians and acupoints began to emit rays of light. They were nourished by the powerful qi of heaven and earth, and became incomparably tough and solid. Ling Xiao opened his eyes, and 2 rays of golden light shot out. They were like 2 dragons, and there was a slight explosion in the void. The earth dragon body was finally a success. Ling Xiao stood up, and he felt the boundless qi and blood in his body. His entire body was filled with endless power. He felt that he could destroy a mountain with a single punch. Is this the power of the earth dragon body? If Shi Tian were to land in front of me now, I wouldn't even need to use the 4 divisions sky striking style. I would be able to destroy him with just the strength of my physical body. Ling Xiao's eyes shone brightly, and a strong sense of confidence spread out. The earth dragon body was stronger than the water dragon body in 2 aspects. One was its defense, and the other was its recovery. Previously, when Ling Xiao's water dragon body was complete, his physical strength was very strong. However, it was only his skin, muscles, and bones. His internal organs were very weak. If he were to encounter an expert, his internal organs would be easily injured. However, the earth dragon body not only strengthened Ling Xiao's skin, muscles, and bones, but also nourished his internal organs. It made him as tough as diamond, and his entire body was like a golden stone. His defense was extremely terrifying. As for recovery, with Ling Xiao's powerful life force, as long as his limbs were not chopped off, his head was chopped off, or his heart was shattered, he would be able to quickly recover from any ordinary injuries. He took out a short sword, infused it with Xiantian Gang Qi, and painstakingly cut open the skin on his arm. In the end, a ray of golden light flashed, and the wound was instantly healed. This kind of crazy recovery also greatly increased Ling Xiao's combat strength. Earth Dragon Body, Level 4 Dragon Tiger Realm. Although my current combat strength is still not comparable to a Celestial Realm expert, there is no one in the Grandmaster Realm who can threaten me. Ling Xiao thought to himself. At the same time, he had obtained the Divine Essence of Sun and the Divine Essence of Sun from the auction. As long as he could combine Yin and Yang and refine the Yin-Yang spiritual seed, Ling Xiao's Devouring Heaven secret skill would definitely be able to break through to the second level. At that time, he might even be able to fight a Celestial Realm expert. However, to refine the Yin-Yang spiritual seed, I have to find a place where Yin and Yang converge, a place where dragons and tigers coexist. There is no way to break through in the capital city. It seems that I have to make a trip to the fearsome Beast Mountain. 1 month later, the Wanshou sect, I believe you will get a big surprise. Chapter 215. Ling Xiao opened the secret chamber and found Li Ling, Lu Xiongfei, and Meng Ao standing outside, looking anxious and worried. Seeing Ling Xiao come out, Li Ling immediately stepped forward and asked, "Son, are you okay? When you were cultivating in seclusion, the earth trembled as if there was an earthquake. The entire capital was shaken. It is said that someone disturbed the dragon vein and angered it. Saint Child, could it be you who caused this?" Li Ling, Lu Xiongfei, and Meng Ao were all shocked. The scene of the earth shaking and the mountains shaking like an earthquake was too terrifying. It was accompanied by the angry roar of the dragon, causing everyone in the imperial capital to tremble in fear. Li Ling was originally protecting Ling Xiao, and the tremor from the secret chamber was the strongest. Therefore, he guessed that it might have been caused by Ling Xiao. "I'm fine. Nothing happened in the imperial capital, right?" Ling Xiao smiled and said non-committally. The imperial capital was only shaken, and the dragon vein was very angry. It seems that someone stole the earth chi of the dragon vein. Many people are guessing who has the ability to do so. Li Ling's eyes flashed as he spoke slowly. At the same time, his heart was in turmoil. Looking at Ling Xiao, he knew that the dragon vein's riot might have something to do with Ling Xiao. The dragon's vein in the capital city had been nurtured for 10,000 years and was protected by a grand matrix. Even noble plane cultivators couldn't do anything about it. Over the years, there had been people who wanted to take the dragon's vein, but unfortunately, they all failed. Ling Xiao was only in the Dragon Tiger realm, but he was able to steal the earth chi of the dragon vein. This method was simply shocking. "Uncle Meng, Uncle Lu, have you recovered from your injuries?" Ling Xiao looked at Meng Ao and Lu Xiongfei with a hint of surprise in his eyes. Lu Xiongfei and Meng Ao had taken the healing elixirs that Ling Xiao had left behind. In addition, Ling Xiao and Li Ling had healed them. Although they looked a little weak, their complexions were much better. It would not be long before they completely recovered. "This injury is nothing." Meng Ao patted his chest and laughed heartily. "Young master, I didn't expect you to have grown to this extent in 3 years. If His Highness knew, he would be very pleased." Meng Ao's face revealed a trace of emotion. Previously, when Ling Xiao appeared at the Ling family's year-end competition, Meng Ao and Lu Xiongfei both broke out in cold sweat, afraid that Ling Xiao would meet with some accident. However, Ling Xiao had surprised them again and again. Not only had he suppressed Ling Tianxi, but he had also defeated Shi Tianluo in a battle. With the cultivation of the Dragon Tiger tier, he was able to defeat Shi Tianluo, who was more than a dozen tiers above him. This kind of talent was simply breathtaking, and even Meng Ao was deeply shocked. The most despicable one is the Wanshou sect. They are too overbearing and arrogant. Young master, although the pure Yang spiritual master intervened at that time and stopped He Qing, they definitely won't let the matter rest. They might send the legendary Dragon Sun and Phoenix Sun for the life and death duel a month later. That will be troublesome. Lu Xiongfei's eyes revealed a trace of worry. Dragon Child and Phoenix Child? A glint flashed across Ling Xiao's eyes. That's right. In the Wanshou sect, There are 7 strongest and most talented true disciples. They are called the Wan Shou 7. Actually, Shi Tianluo is the weakest of the Wan Shou 7. He was promoted to the Wan Shou 7 because he has the heavenly serpent bloodline. However, the 6 people before him are all much stronger than him, especially the Dragon Son and Phoenix Son. It is said that they are already heaven-tier elites and have cultivated the heaven-tier martial arts of the Wan Shou sect. They are very powerful. Lu Xiongfei explained. The Dragon Son and Phoenix Son probably won't fight. Both of them are the core members of the Wan Shou sect. It is said that the competition for the position of young master has been very intense recently, so they probably don't have time to come to the Great Barren Ancient Kingdom. Moreover, He Qing said that he would send disciples below the heaven tier to fight with the saint. If the Dragon Son and Phoenix Son fight, regardless of whether they win or lose, the Wan Shou sect will lose face. After all, it would not look good for a heaven tier elite to bully a Dragon Tiger tier martial artist. Therefore, it is most likely that the Wan Shou sect will send the 3rd or 4th disciple of the Wan Shou 7 to fight. Li Ling suddenly spoke and analyzed. Meng Ao and Lu Xiongfei were stunned and nodded. They felt that Li Ling's words made sense. However, it is said that the Tiger King and the Spirit Tortoise, who are ranked 3rd among the 7,000 Beast disciples, have both reached the peak of the 9th level of the Master Realm and have cultivated heaven-tier martial arts. Their combat strength is not something that sky-descending snake can compare to. Meng Ao and Lu Xiongfei were still worried. After all, the Wan Shou sect was the holy land of martial arts in the 8 Desolates region. They were the overlord of the world and had many elites in the sect. They had been infamous for hundreds of years and made people feel an invisible pressure. Don't worry. Ling Xiao smiled faintly and exuded a strong sense of confidence. He said, "Since I dared to set the date for the death duel in a month, I naturally have a certain level of confidence. After a month, no matter who the Wan Shou sect sends, they will definitely die." For some reason, after hearing Ling Xiao's words, Li Ling, Meng Ao, and Lu Xiongfei felt an inexplicable sense of confidence. "Your Highness, there is a person named Lung Feng outside the mansion who wishes to see you." At this moment, a member of the Ling family walked over and looked at Ling Xiao with respect. In the Ling family, Ling Yunxiang and Ling Tianxi had been killed by the people of the underworld. The rest of the family members had been carefully selected by Master Jiao Mu, and Li Ling. Master Jiao Mu's mental strength was strong and he had cultivated the secret spiritual skill that Ling Xiao had imparted to him. Li Ling's heart of sword was the best at seeing through people's evil intentions. Therefore, among the Ling family members, those with evil intentions were all eliminated and chased out of the demon mansion. As for the remaining Ling family members, they were both respectful and afraid of Ling Xiao. They all did things carefully and did not dare to make the slightest mistake. If it were not for Ling Zhen, Ling Xiao would not have wanted any of the Ling family members. However, among the children of the Ling family, Ling Xiao had found a few good seedlings and was prepared to nurture them and send them to the longevity sect. "Alright, I got it. Go and invite him in." Ling Xiao was slightly taken aback. He did not expect Lung Feng to come so quickly. In the main hall of the mansion, Ling Xiao saw Lung Feng, who was dressed in black, and a middle-aged woman in plain clothes. She looked calm and gentle, but she was slightly weak. She was Madame Lung, who Ling Xiao had treated previously. "Mother, he is the Demon King, Ling Xiao." Seeing Ling Xiao appear, Lung Feng's eyes flashed as he said to Madame Ling, "The Demon King is actually so young?" Madame Lung's eyes revealed a trace of surprise. She did not expect Ling Xiao to be so young. "Greetings, Your Highness. Your Highness saved Lung Feng and cured my poison. Even if the Lung family were to sacrifice our lives, we would not be able to repay Your Highness' kindness." Chapter 216. "Both of you, please rise." Ling Xiao smiled and raised his hand. Instantly, a strong force lifted Madame Lung and Lung Feng up, preventing them from kneeling any further. Madame Lung's eyes revealed a trace of shock. She could sense that Ling Xiao was only 15 or 16 years old and his cultivation was only at LV4 Dragon Tiger realm. However, he was able to lift her and Lung Feng, who were both grandmasters, up from such a distance. This was simply shocking. Madam Lung, the poison in your body has been neutralized. You just need to rest for a while and you will be fully recovered. Congratulations. Ling Xiao said with a smile. He gestured for the two of them to sit down and ordered the maids to serve tea. It's all thanks to your highness that I am still alive. I have a favor to ask of you today and I hope that your highness will agree to it. Madam Lung looked pleading. Oh, what is it, Madam Lung? Ling Xiao said with a smile. Madam Lung glanced at Lung Feng and said, Feng, kneel down. Lung Feng immediately got up and knelt down in front of Ling Xiao. Your highness, Lung Feng was saved by your highness, and Lung Feng's mother was also saved by your highness. Lung Feng is unable to repay your highness's kindness, even if I work like an ox or a horse. I only hope that your highness will allow Lung Feng to follow by your highness' side. Lung Feng said solemnly as he stared at Ling Xiao. Your highness, Feng, is talented. If your highness can nurture him, it will be his blessing. He will definitely be loyal to your highness and will not hesitate to die for your highness. We are unable to repay your highness's kindness to our Lung family. This is the only way to repay your highness's kindness. We hope that your highness will not reject our request. Madam Ling said sincerely. Ling Xiao tapped his fingers on the table and his eyes seemed to be shining with a golden light. He looked straight at Lung Feng as though he wanted to see through his heart. Lung Feng looked calm. Although he had a cold temperament, the sincerity in his eyes did not seem to be fake. Lung Feng, the path I'm taking is not one of wealth or power, but the path to the peak of the martial path, which is destined to be filled with mountains of corpses and seas of blood, filled with danger. With your talent, if you were to stay in the great desolation ancient kingdom, it's not impossible for you to be conferred the title of Duke in the future. But if you follow me, there will be countless dangers, even life-threatening. If that's the case, are you still willing to follow me? Ling Xiao stood up, and a thick and majestic aura emanated from his body. In his eyes, there was a trace of vicissitudes that did not match his age. His eyes flashed with a sharp light, and there was an indescribable domineering and majestic aura that came pressing down on Lung Feng. Although Ling Xiao's words were indifferent, they contained a power that questioned one's heart, causing Lung Feng to feel an immense pressure. It was as if he was facing a supreme martial artist who could sweep through the world. Lung Feng did not hesitate at all. His eyes were bright as he said firmly, Your Highness, I have two great wishes in this life. The first is to wipe out the Chen family and avenge my father. The second is to step onto the peak of the martial path and pursue the secrets of heaven and earth. As for the so-called dangers, I don't care at all. I am willing to follow your highness and step onto the peak of the martial path to take a look. Lung Feng's heart was very firm, and at the same time, he felt a sense of excitement that he had not felt in a long time. Ling Xiao's words resonated with him, and at this moment, his gaze towards Ling Xiao was not only filled with gratitude, but also with respect. Good, very good. Pa, I didn't misjudge you. Lung Feng, get up. From now on, you will be my sword attendant. Don't call me your highness, call me young master. Ling Xiao solemnly helped Lung Feng up. His eyes were filled with admiration, and he laughed heartily. Yes, young master. Lung Feng replied seriously. When he was speaking just now, not only did he use all his mental strength, but he also used the secret spiritual skill to interrogate one's soul. He wanted to see if Lung Feng's heart of the martial path was really firm. If Lung Feng had hesitated for a moment during his answer just now, he would have been eliminated by Ling Xiao. The result made him feel very gratified. Lung Feng's heart of the martial path was extremely firm, and he did not waste his shocking talent. Furthermore, Madame Lung was also very smart. She knew that Ling Xiao had saved Lung Feng and spent so much effort to heal her because he had taken a liking to Lung Feng. Hence, when Madame Lung woke up, he immediately came to the Demon King's residence. Lung Feng, do you know why I value you so much? Ling Xiao smiled faintly, and his tone also became casual. Lung Feng doesn't know. Lung Feng shook his head, and a trace of doubt appeared in his eyes. He was not stupid and naturally knew that Ling Xiao had saved him because he valued him. However, although his posture was not bad, it was still a far cry from Ling Xiao's. Ling Xiao was a peerless demon who could suppress Shi Tianluo when he was in the Dragon Tiger realm. Lung Feng's talent was nothing in front of him. What did Ling Xiao see in him? Even Madame Lung showed a curious look. Because you are a bloodline warrior. Ling Xiao smiled and said, Bloodline warrior. Hearing these 4 words, Lung Feng and Madame Lung trembled, and a trace of disbelief appeared in their eyes. When a martial artist cultivated the martial path, their talents could be categorized as trash, normal, genius, demon, king, young paragon, and born god. However, most people only had normal talents. Those with high talents could be called geniuses and geniuses. For example, the 5 young masters of the capital could be called geniuses. Regardless of whether it was their comprehension or cultivation speed, they were far superior to their peers. As for bloodline warriors, they were passed down from ancient times. They were either passed down from powerful humans or passed down from legendary ferocious beasts. Their bloodline contained a trace of the power of inheritance, and their talents were heaven-defying. Not only did bloodline warriors cultivate at an extremely fast speed, but they also possessed some kind of special ability that allowed them to explode with combat power that far exceeded their peers. The talents of bloodline warriors were at least at the level of a demon. That shouldn't be possible, right? Young master, I don't feel anything special about my bloodline. Lung Feng asked in confusion. That's because your bloodline hasn't awakened. Your bloodline is extremely powerful. It's the legendary Heavenly Blade bloodline. In ancient times, there was a Blade Emperor who possessed the Heavenly Blade bloodline. He created the 10 Annihilation Slash, and he once went against the odds and killed paragons as a monarch. He shocked the world. Ling Xiao smiled, and there was a trace of admiration in his eyes. The Heavenly Blade bloodline was born for the blade. It had an innate perception of the blade Dao, and it was extremely terrifying. For example, although Lung Feng had yet to awaken the Heavenly Saber bloodline, he had managed to create the 9th saber move of the Azura Saber art, a peerless Xian-ranked martial art. He had upgraded the saber art to a low-grade D-ranked martial art, allowing him to defeat Qin Feng Dao. Once Lung Feng's Heavenly Blade bloodline was completely awakened, he would definitely be able to erupt with even more terrifying strength. Take Li Ling for example. After his Heavenly Blade bloodline was awakened, it allowed him to break through to the sky-human realm and reach the heart-illuminated realm. His combat power was unparalleled. It could be said that the Heavenly Blade bloodline and the Heavenly Blade bloodline were Ling Xiao's greatest gains in the capital. Once Li Ling and Lung Feng grew up, they would even have the peerless talent to become paragons. Chapter 217. Heavenly Blade Bloodline? Madame Lung was shocked. Although she knew that Ling Xiao valued Lung Feng, she did not expect Lung Feng to have such a powerful bloodline. Young master, is there a way to awaken the Heavenly Blade bloodline in my body? Lung Feng's eyes also revealed a trace of anticipation. Of course. Ling Xiao smiled and said, since you are following me, I will naturally unlock the bloodline shackles for you. I am also looking forward to the complete awakening of your Heavenly Blade bloodline. The Heavenly Blade bloodline in Lung Feng's body had already shown signs of awakening. Otherwise, Ling Xiao would not have been able to detect the aura of the Heavenly Blade bloodline in Lung Feng's body through the battle between Lung Feng and Qin Feng Dao. However, it was not easy to completely awaken the Heavenly Blade bloodline. Fortunately, Ling Xiao knew the method to awaken the Heavenly Blade bloodline. Lung Feng, do you know what the Dao of Blade is? Ling Xiao looked at Lung Feng and smiled faintly. Dao of Blade. Lung Feng was slightly stunned and said, young master, although I practice blade skills, I feel that I am only at the beginner level of blade skills. I am still very far from the Dao of Blade. I know that my blade is a blade of slaughter. Once the blade is unsheathed, it will go forward with no regrets. It will definitely return with blood. Lung Feng, although you are not completely right, you are right about one thing. Ling Xiao smiled faintly and a sharp glint appeared in his eyes. The aura around him became incomparably sharp in an instant. It was like an unsheathed blade, sharp and full of murderous intent. The Tao of blade is the Tao of slaughter. Blade users live to kill. When you can use the blade in your hand and understand the true meaning of slaughter, you will have stepped into the Tao of blade. When you can completely let go of the blade in your heart, you will be able to achieve great success in the Tao of blade. Remember what I said. Ling Xiao said slowly, and there was a strange fluctuation in his voice. Ling Xiao was the sky-devouring supreme in his previous life. Although he did not have a deep understanding of the Tao of blade, he was able to understand everything. His view of the Tao of blade went straight to the core. The so-called saber Tao was the Tao of slaughter. Ling Xiao was imparting to Lung Feng a certain philosophy. Saber techniques were easy to obtain, but saber Tao was difficult to obtain. He was teaching Lung Feng so that he could plant the seed of saber Tao in Lung Feng's heart. One day, when Lung Feng truly understood the true meaning of saber Tao, he would be able to unleash the true power of the heavenly blade bloodline. Saber Tao, the Tao of slaughter? Young master, I'll remember this. Lung Feng's eyes revealed a hint of understanding, but he still replied seriously. All right, from now on, you and Madame Lung can live in Demon Lord's mansion. Since you defeated Chen Fengdao this time, it's inevitable that he will send people to make trouble for you in desperation. I'd like to see if he dares to cause trouble in my mansion. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. Thank you, young master. Lung Feng's eyes revealed a trace of gratitude, but his face also revealed a hesitant expression. Are you worried about the orphans? Ling Xiao's eyes flickered as he looked at Lung Feng's expression. He knew what Lung Feng was thinking. He smiled and said, bring them to the mansion as well. Those little fellows are unpolished jade. Train them well in the future and don't mistreat them. Thank you, young master. Both Madame Lung and Lung Feng were pleasantly surprised. Finally, Ling Xiao instructed the housekeeper to bring Madame Lung and Lung Feng to the side yard of the mansion while he prepared to refine the elixir that could awaken Lung Feng's heavenly blade bloodline. The Slaughter Elixir. The Slaughter Elixir was a medium-grade treasure elixir. It was refined using the heaven and earth energy, Gingjin energy, and the pure heaven and earth demonic qi. It contained a trace of pure slaughter qi that could awaken Lung Feng's heavenly blade bloodline. The heaven and earth energy is readily available. The chaotic world demonic ape's blood essence is not used up yet. I can use it to refine the slaughter elixir. Ling Xiao checked his longevity ring and found that he had all the spiritual herbs and heavenly treasures he needed to refine the pill of slaughter. Since that's the case, let's refine the elixir. Ling Xiao's eyes lit up as he spoke to Li Ling and the others. Then, he turned around and entered the secret chamber. Ling Xiao's mental strength was extremely powerful now. In addition, he had the heaven-devouring fire in his body. Refining the slaughter elixir was a piece of cake for him. Just as Ling Xiao was refining the slaughter elixir, Chen Fengdao and Chen Weishan's expressions turned extremely ugly in the general's residence. Damn it, why is the seal on the jade disc so strange? Chen Fengdao's eyes were red, and his face was ferocious. He held a piece of black jade disc in his hand. It looked like a strange dagger that was glowing. This was the jade disc of the 7 slashes of obliteration that he had obtained at the auction. However, after the 2 pieces of jade disc were combined into one, a strange seal appeared on it. Chen Fengdao brought back the jade disc. Neither he nor Chen Weishan could do anything about it. The seal was too strong. It actually contained a trace of pure mental strength that was extremely vast. Moreover, there was a domineering, ancient, and powerful saber essence on the jade disc. Chen Fengdao and Chen Weishan did not even look at it and forcefully broke the seal. Otherwise, when the saber essence exploded, there would be unpredictable danger. Looks like our guess was right. There really is a heaven-class martial art on this jade disc. It's far superior to the 7 slashes of obliteration, Chen Weishan said slowly. His eyes shone brightly, and the corners of his mouth curled into a bitter smile. Father, what should we do? If we can't break the seal, we won't be able to cultivate the heaven-class martial art on it. Chen Fengdao was the most anxious one. Not only had he suffered a great loss at Ling Xiao's hands, but he had also been defeated by Lung Feng. This made him feel extremely aggrieved. He wanted to break the seal and cultivate the ultimate martial art on it to avenge himself. The seal on the jade disc was simply driving Chen Fengdao crazy. The seal on the jade disc is a powerful mental strength seal. We won't be able to break it with our strength alone. I'm afraid that even a Sky Realm expert won't be able to break it. We need to find someone with strong mental strength to break the seal. Chen Weishan's expression was somewhat ugly. If they found someone else to break the seal, wouldn't that mean that the secret of the jade disc martial art would be exposed? This was something that Chen Fengdao and Chen Weishan could not tolerate. In the entire Great Desolation Ancient Kingdom, only the Imperial Tutor and Pure Yang Spiritual Master can break the seal on the jade disc. Chen Weishan said with a sigh. Both of them were Sky Realm experts. Moreover, their mental strength had reached the peak of upper-grade alchemy grandmaster. They had unfathomable means and might be able to break the seal on the jade disc. Pure Yang Spiritual Master? This won't do. That old man is too mysterious. If he knows that we have a Sky Realm martial art here, he might be tempted. As for the Imperial Tutor, Ling Juechen, he has an extremely good reputation in the royal capital. Moreover, I've heard that he also cultivated a powerful Sky Realm martial art. He shouldn't covet our jade disc martial art, right? Chen Fengdao thought for a moment and directly rejected Pure Yang Spiritual Master. When he mentioned Ling Juechen, he was somewhat hesitant. The Imperial Tutor's character is trustworthy. Even if he can't break the seal on the jade disc in the end, he definitely won't reveal the secret. The Imperial Tutor and I are still somewhat pretentious. It seems that we can only find the Imperial Tutor if we want to break the seal. Chen Weishan was somewhat unwilling, but in the end he could only sigh. Guarding a treasure mountain without being able to enter was naturally an extremely depressing matter. Thus, Chen Weishan also decided to take a risk and ask Ling Juechen to break the seal on the jade disc. That's the only way, Chen Fengdao said through gritted teeth. At the same time, the figures of Ling Xiao and Lung Feng appeared in his mind. His eyes revealed an incomparably cold killing intent that flickered with a sharpness that could devour a person. Ling Xiao, Lung Feng, just you wait. Chapter 218. It was not difficult for Ling Xiao to refine the slaughter pill. When Ling Xiao walked out of the secret chamber a day later, the slaughter pill was successfully refined. A black pill appeared in Ling Xiao's hand. It was the size of a longan fruit and was sparkling and translucent. It emitted circles of black ripples. There was no medicinal fragrance coming from it. Instead, there was a sharp light surging around it. This was the slaughter pill. Ling Xiao had used up most of his elixirs and all of the chaotic world demonic ape's blood essence. He had also extracted a lot of heaven and earth qi from the ground to refine this treasure pill. Ling Xiao called Lung Feng over and handed him the slaughter pill. Middle grade treasure pill, slaughter pill? Young master, refined this for you? Lung Feng's eyes were filled with shock as if he was in a dream. He could not believe his eyes. Lung Feng naturally knew that Ling Xiao's martial talent was extraordinary. However, he did not expect Ling Xiao to be an alchemy master. To be able to refine a middle-grade treasure pill, Ling Xiao was at least a middle-grade alchemy master. However, was there such a young alchemy master in the great barren ancient country? After all, alchemy was different from martial arts. Not only did it require talent, but it also required time. Many alchemy theories required a lot of practice to comprehend. Therefore, many alchemy masters were at least 50 or 60 years old. However, Ling Xiao was only 16 years old. Even if he started practicing alchemy when he was in his mother's womb, it was impossible for him to become a middle-grade alchemy master so quickly. Of course it was refined by the saint. Lung Feng, you have only seen the tip of the iceberg of the saint's craziness. Follow the saint and do well. The saint will not mistreat you. Ling Xiao smiled and patted Lung Feng's shoulder. Perhaps there was an inexplicable connection between the heavenly blade and heavenly sword bloodlines. In a short time, Li Ling and Lung Feng became familiar with each other and had a good relationship. Looking at Lung Feng's dumbfounded expression, Li Ling thought of his own expression when he saw Ling Xiao refining the sword heart pill and felt proud. Your Heavenly Blade bloodline is now on the verge of awakening. This slaughter pill can help you completely awaken your Heavenly Blade bloodline. Cultivate well and don't disappoint me. Ling Xiao smiled as he handed the slaughter pill to Lung Feng. Yes, young master. Lung Feng suppressed the shock in his heart and solemnly accepted the slaughter pill. Lung Feng's heart was filled with anticipation and a thirst for power. Once he awakened the Heavenly Blade bloodline, he would be one step closer to avenging his father. The Skyblade bloodline is no small matter. Although it's impossible for you to break through to the Heaven tier in one go like Elder Li, the power of that bloodline will at least allow you to break through several realms. At that time, the so-called 5 young masters of the capital city will probably have to be re-ranked. Ling Xiao said with a smile. If Lung Feng awakened the Heavenly Blade bloodline, Xia Yunjie, Ling Qingqing, and the others would not be a match for him. Lung Feng left. He adjusted his condition and prepared to enter seclusion. However, Master Jimu brought Ling Xiao a piece of news. Did Ling Juchen call for an alchemist convention to refine the soul-returning pill? It seems like he has broken through to the peerless alchemy grandmaster realm. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he softly muttered to himself. The soul-returning pill was a peerless treasure pill. It was a pill for experts at Heaven Tier 9 to break through to the noble stage. Only a peerless alchemy grandmaster was qualified to refine the soul-returning pill. Ling Xiao had given the minor soul-refining technique to Ling Qingqing. He did not expect Ling Juchen to break through to the peerless alchemy grandmaster realm in just 2 days. Has Pure Yang Spiritual Master broken through? Ling Xiao asked Master Jiamu. Pure Yang Spiritual Master has broken through as well. Master Jiamu's eyes flashed with excitement. Master, Ling Juchen and Pure Yang Spiritual Master have been stuck at the peak of the upper alchemy grandmaster realm for many years. Now that they have obtained the minor soul refining technique, they are like tigers that have grown wings. When the conditions are right, they will naturally break through. Moreover, Pure Yang Spiritual Master and Ling Juchen are both at the peak of Heaven tier. If they succeed in refining the soul-returning pill, they will break through to the noble stage. For us, we will have 2 more top fighters. Then, even if we face the Wanshou sect, we will have the ability to protect ourselves. Master Jiamu looked at Ling Xiao with admiration. Ling Xiao had only used the minor soul refining technique to make Pure Yang Spiritual Master and Ling Juchen owe him a huge favor. If they broke through to the noble stage, they would definitely be Ling Xiao's best allies. In the life and death duel a month later, Ling Xiao was not only thinking about defeating the disciples of the Wanshou sect. More importantly, he had to prevent the Wanshou sect from acting out of desperation. If a noble stage cultivator really appeared, no one in the imperial capital would be able to stop him. Master Ling Juechen and Spiritual Master Chun Yang will be hosting the alchemy conference this time. In addition, there are 3 mid-tier alchemy grandmasters and 9 low-tier alchemy grandmasters in the capital. They are preparing to gather everyone's strength to refine the soul-returning pill. Master Jiamu said slowly. Gathering everyone's strength. If the soul-returning pill is so easy to refine, there wouldn't be so few noble stage cultivators in the 8 Desolation region. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. The soul-returning pill was also an ancient pill formula. It was relatively common 10,000 years ago, but after 10,000 years, the formula of the soul-returning pill had long been lost. This time, the royal family of the Great Wilderness had paid a great price to obtain the formula of the soul-returning pill from an ancient ruin. They wanted to refine the legendary soul-returning pill. If a 9th-level celestial stage cultivator wanted to break through to the noble stage, they had to comprehend the laws of heaven and earth and gather the power of will. This was already a level that involved the Tao. Therefore, although the soul-returning pill was a supreme treasure pill, it could already be called a Tao pill. It contained the power of the Tao and was extremely difficult to refine. Therefore, Ling Xiao did not have high hopes for this year's Alchemy Grandmaster competition. If he wanted to refine the soul-returning pill, it was very likely that he would fail. Master, Ling Juchen and Pure Yang Spiritual Master know that the soul-returning pill is extremely difficult to refine, so they want to gather everyone's strength and brainstorm a way to refine the soul-returning pill. Moreover, Ling Juchen and Pure Yang Spiritual Master hope that you can participate in this Alchemy Grandmaster competition. Master Jiamu looked at Ling Xiao and said, "They want me to participate in the Alchemy Grandmaster competition? Do they think that I can refine the soul-returning pill?" Ling Xiao smiled faintly. With the strength of his spiritual power, he would have to pay a huge price to refine the soul-returning pill. Moreover, Ling Juchen and Pure Yang Spiritual Master did not know about Ling Xiao's cultivation in alchemy. Why would they want Ling Xiao to participate in the Alchemy Grandmaster competition? This is also something that makes me feel strange. I have never revealed Master's attainments in alchemy to anyone. I don't know why they want Master to participate in the Alchemy Grandmaster competition. If Master doesn't want to go, I'll turn them down. Master Jiamu's eyes revealed a trace of doubt. No need. I really want to see this so-called Alchemy Grandmaster competition. Especially Ling Juchen, I want to see him. Chapter 219. The Alchemy Conference was held at the Celestial Master Hall in the Imperial City. The next day, Ling Xiao and Master Jiao Mu left the Demon King's residence and entered the Imperial City. The Imperial City was located in the center of the Imperial City. It occupied a vast area and had a majestic aura. From Ling Xiao's point of view, it was located in the center of the Dragon Vein. The spirit qi here was dense and prosperous. There were many palaces in the Imperial City. They were simple and dignified, filled with an ancient and vicissitude aura. The Imperial City, like the Great Desolation Ancient Kingdom, had existed for tens of thousands of years and had witnessed the vicissitudes of time. The Great Desolation Ancient Kingdom still existed, but the longevity sect that looked down on the world and dominated the world had long lost its former glory. Ling Xiao's eyes revealed a trace of emotion as he walked into the Imperial City with Master Jiao Mu. After passing through several long corridors and turning a few corners, Ling Xiao saw a simple gray palace. There were 3 ancient words on it: Celestial Master Hall. Outside the Celestial Master Hall was a huge white jade plaza. At this moment, smoke curled up as many figures appeared on the plaza. There are actually so many people? Ling Xiao and Master Jiao Mu were shocked. There were many figures in alchemist robes on the plaza. There were at least 100 people, and each of them had a golden cauldron and a golden star embroidered on their chest. There were from 1 to 5 golden stars, and each of them had an extraordinary bearing. Their gazes were like lightning, and they were surrounded by powerful mental energy. It was as if all the alchemists in the Imperial City had come. Didn't they say that there were only a dozen people participating in the Alchemy Conference this time? Why are there so many people? Ling Xiao was slightly taken aback. I'm not very sure either. Master, wait a moment, I'll go ask. Master Jiao Mu was somewhat ashamed. He felt that he didn't even know the situation of the Alchemy Conference and hurriedly walked toward the crowd. The appearance of Master Jiao Mu immediately caused a commotion in the crowd. Many alchemists revealed incomparably excited expressions. Master Jiao Mu could be said to be the most popular alchemist in the Imperial City during this period of time. His reputation was second only to the Imperial Tutor Ling Juechen and Spiritual Master Chun Yang. Immediately, many alchemists gathered and smiled as they greeted Master Jiao Mu. Master Jiao Mu also took the opportunity to inquire about the conference this time. Not long after, Master Jiao Mu returned. Master, I've already asked clearly. Ling Juechen and Spiritual Master Pure Yang had originally planned to gather everyone's strength to refine the soul-returning pill. However, for some reason, they changed their minds and turned the alchemy assembly into a competition between alchemists. Those who passed the competition would not only receive guidance from Ling Juechen and Spiritual Master Pure Yang, but they would also receive an ancient pill recipe. So all these alchemists are scrambling like ducks, as if they've been injected with chicken blood. All of them are here. Master Jiao Mu smiled bitterly, his eyes filled with doubt. In the past few days, Ling Juchen and Spiritual Master Pure Yang had been in seclusion trying to break through to the pinnacle of pill refinement, so the news he received was not accurate. But who would have thought that the pill refinement assembly this time would turn into a competition between pill refinement masters? A contest between alchemists? Interesting. How are we going to compete? Ling Zhao's eyes flashed as he smiled faintly. I'm not sure about that. The people who came today don't know anything about the soul-returning pill. They only know that the Alchemy Master Conference this time is a competition between alchemists. Those who can pass the test will be rewarded handsomely. That's why they came, Master Jiaomu said. Being able to receive guidance from Ling Juqin and spiritual master Pure Yang, as well as an ancient pill formula, was an irresistible temptation for all alchemists. After all, the path of alchemy was too broad and profound. If one did not have a complete legacy, it would be very difficult for them to raise their cultivation level alone. The Alchemy Conference this time just so happened to be an excellent opportunity. If they could gain the favor of Ling Juqin and spiritual master Pure Yang, they might be able to advance by leaps and bounds on the path of alchemy and reach a higher realm. All the alchemists were tempted. Soul Returning Pill? Alchemy Master Conference? This is getting more and more interesting. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed as a smile appeared on his lips. Ling Xiao stood in the middle of the square with Master Jiaomu. He looked at the tightly shut doors of the Celestial Master Hall with a thoughtful expression. Princess Hongxiu is here. At that moment, a commotion broke out in the crowd. Everyone looked in one direction. In the distance, Xia Hongxiu was wearing a red dress. She was tall and slender, and her skin was snow-white. Her eyes were full of heroic spirit, and she had a different kind of beauty. Beside her was a young man in a white robe. He looked very handsome and tall. His eyes were like torches, but he looked very arrogant. There was a hint of disdain in his eyes as he looked at the crowd. Most importantly, there was a golden cauldron embroidered on his chest. It had 5 golden stars. This white-robed young man was actually a middle-grade alchemy master. Who is that white-robed young man? He's actually a middle-grade alchemy master. This is too unbelievable, isn't it? An alchemist's eyes revealed a hint of shock. He found it hard to believe. A middle-grade alchemy master in his 20s. This completely overturned their worldview. The alchemy masters in the square were all white-haired. They had studied alchemy for decades or even centuries before they became alchemy masters. There were even many elders who were still alchemists and had no way of breaking through to become alchemy masters. The appearance of this white-robed young man caused a commotion in the square. After all, this white-robed young man was too young. Look at his sleeves. That's the pattern of the sun, moon, and stars. Is he also from the sun-moon-star sect? Someone's eyes flashed as he saw the pattern of the sun, moon, and stars embroidered with golden thread on the white-robed young man's sleeves. He was immediately shocked and exclaimed, "A disciple of the sun-moon-star sect? I remember now. It seems that the sun god's lineage of the sun-moon-star sect has a disciple with great talent in alchemy. Moreover, he's the younger brother of the sun god. Could it be him?" Someone's eyes flashed as he thought of a rumor. It was rumored that there were many amazing geniuses in this generation of sun-moon-star sect disciples. The most dazzling were naturally the sun god and the moon god. Although the sun god's younger brother's talent in cultivation was average, he was born with strong mental strength. He was different from ordinary people. Moreover, he had refined the sun-moon-star sect's scorching sun heavenly fire. He had amazing talent in alchemy and had already broken through to the alchemy master realm in his 20s. It should be him. I didn't expect him to come to the Alchemy Master Conference today. It seems like we have no hope. Many alchemists revealed a trace of sadness in their eyes as they smiled bitterly. Senior Brother Zhao, thank you for coming to the Alchemy Master Conference. I believe that you will make it to the end. Xia Hongxiu looked at the white-robed young man and smiled gratefully. Hongxiu, I still have to give you face. However, I feel that Ling Juechen and Chunyang's spiritual master's actions are superfluous. How can these useless people be a match for me, Zhao Ritian? There's no need to compete at all. Just tell them to get lost. It's just a resurrection pill. I, Zhao Ritian, don't care about it. The white-robed young man smiled arrogantly. He looked at the crowd with disdain in his eyes. Chapter 220. Zhao Ritian did not lower his voice. His words were heard by many alchemists. Everyone glared at him angrily. What? Could it be that I said something wrong? You old fogies have wasted your lives. You're already so old, yet you're still at the level of an alchemist. I'm afraid you won't be able to reach the level of an alchemist master in your lifetime. If it wasn't for me, Zhao Ritian, this alchemy master conference would be nothing but a joke. I don't mind showing you what a real alchemy master is. Zhao Ritian stood with his hands behind his back and his nose in the air. He looked as if he was the best in the world. Many alchemists were initially in awe of his identity as a disciple of the Sun-Moon-Star sect. However, after hearing Zhao Ritian's words, they were about to explode. Their eyes were spitting fire. They felt as if they had been humiliated. Which alchemist wasn't high and mighty in the outside world, being sought after by others? How could they endure such humiliation? However, no one dared to speak out. Although Zhao Ritian's words were arrogant, he had the right to be. An alchemist master in his 20s could be said to be one of a kind in the entire 8 Desolates region. Xia Hongxiu's face was flushed red. Her eyes revealed a trace of helplessness. Senior brother Zhao was good at everything. His talent in alchemy was unparalleled. He even had the legendary 9 Sons bloodline. He was naturally close to fire. That was why he could refine the blazing sun heavenly fire so easily. However, his personality was a little too arrogant. Where did this clown come from? This name is so fucking unique. Could it be that you really want to fuck the heavens? Ling Xiao could not help but laugh. The name Zhao Ritian sounded very domineering. However, why was it so strange? He said softly to Master Jiao Mu. There was a trace of a smile in his eyes. However, the senses of a martial artist were very sharp. In addition, Ling Xiao did not intentionally lower his voice. Therefore, everyone heard what he said instantly. Zhao Ritian. Everyone thought about the name and thought of a certain metaphor. They could not help but laugh. At the same time, some of them could not help but look at Ling Xiao. This kid really had guts. He actually dared to make fun of Zhao Ritian. Did he not know that Zhao Ritian was from the Sun-Moon-Star sect? Zhao Ritian's face instantly stiffened. He looked at Ling Xiao. In the entire Sun-Moon-Star sect, he was a high and mighty true disciple. Who dared to make fun of him? Yet, this brat Ling Xiao was so daring. Zhao Ritian's eyes turned cold instantly. Ling Xiao, it's you? Xia Hongxiu shouted when she saw Ling Xiao. She had a complicated look in her eyes. Xia Hongxiu had mixed feelings about Ling Xiao. She was shocked. Ling. She. With a dragon tiger realm. With a single punch defeat Ling defeat. With. You said he defeated Shi Tianluo. That's impossible, right? He's only in the dragon tiger realm. Zhao Ritian's eyes were filled with doubt. After seeing Ling Xiao's cultivation base clearly, he said in disdain, that's right. Although Shi Tianluo's heavenly serpent bloodline was far from Zhao Ritian's 9 Sun bloodline, it was still a monstrous talent. Shi Tianluo was a genuine level 6 grandmaster, 1 level higher than Zhao Ritian. Zhao Ritian didn't believe that Ling Xiao could defeat Shi Tianluo. He is Ling Xiao. Shi Tianluo was defeated by him. Xia Hongxiu nodded. Many alchemists were shocked. The news of Ling Xiao defeating Shi Tianluo had spread throughout the royal capital. At this moment, many people saw that Ling Xiao was only a teenager of 15 or 16 years old. His smile was bright and delicate. He was completely different from the legendary domineering and powerful figure who suppressed Sky Snake descent. They found it hard to believe. Ling Xiao? Why is he here for the alchemy conference? Could it be that he is also an alchemist? Many alchemists had different expressions on their faces as they discussed softly. That shouldn't be possible. His martial arts talent is so heaven-defying. If he's also an alchemist, how are we supposed to live? I heard that he has a close relationship with Master Jiamu. I think Master Jiamu might have brought him here. Someone shook his head. Kid, Hongxiu isn't someone you can covet. Don't be a toad who wants to eat swan meat. You're not worthy of Hongxiu. Only a brilliant, talented, handsome, and intelligent peerless hero like me is worthy of Hongxiu. You'd better stay away from him. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude to you. Zhao Riqian looked at Ling Xiao arrogantly. His voice was cold and filled with disdain. Everyone looked at Zhao Riqian strangely. Zhao Riqian was too arrogant. He was praising himself as if it was natural. He even wanted to teach Ling Xiao a lesson? Ling Xiao was a ruthless person who could even defeat Shi Tianluo. Zhao Riqian's talent in alchemy was indeed very strong, but in terms of cultivation he was only at the 5th level of the Grandmaster realm. Where did he get the confidence to be rude to Ling Xiao? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he said with a smile, "Oh? How are you going to be rude to me? Why don't we have a fight?" A cold and sharp aura emanated from Ling Xiao's body and pressed towards Zhao Riqian. Ling Xiao did not know why, but he felt that Zhao Riqian was asking for a beating. He could not help but want to beat him up. Zhao Riqian shuddered as he felt an extremely dangerous aura coming from Ling Xiao. Only then did he know that this kid before him had the ability to defeat Shi Tianluo. "Ling Xiao, what are you trying to do?" This is the Alchemy Master Conference. Only the honorable alchemists can participate in this conference. Why are you fighting? If you're so capable, compete with me in alchemy. I'll definitely beat you up so badly that even your mother won't recognize you. Zhao Riqian could not help but take a few steps back. However, when he saw that Ling Xiao did not do anything, he became angry. He pointed at Ling Xiao and sneered. "Are you sure you want to compete with me in alchemy?" Ling Xiao's eyes revealed a strange look as he said with a smile. "But, are you scared? When it comes to alchemy, I, Zhao Riqian, have never been afraid of anyone. If you're scared, kneel down and kowtow to apologize. I, Zhao Riqian, am a magnanimous man. I'll forgive you." Zhao Riqian chuckled coldly and said arrogantly. Chapter 221. In Master Jiao Mu's opinion, Ling Xiao's talent in alchemy was even more heaven-defying than his talent in martial arts. The ancient pill formulas that even Ling Juechen and spiritual master Chun Yang were helpless against were easily restored by Ling Xiao. And Ling Xiao's alchemy techniques simply made people gasp in amazement, making Grandmaster Jiao Mu feel like he was a celestial being. In Master Jiao Mu's opinion, Ling Xiao's alchemy skills were even better than Ling Juechen and spiritual master Chun Yang. Although Zhao Riqian's talent in alchemy was strong, he was still far from Ling Xiao's level. It was like comparing a firefly to the moon. They were not on the same level at all. Zhao Riqian's arrogant claim that he wanted to compete with Ling Xiao in alchemy was like an old man eating arsenic. He was tired of living. Silence! At this moment, the door of the Celestial Master Hall opened. An old man in a black robe walked out. He had a ruddy complexion and white hair. The old man was tall and big. His face was hale and hearty. His old eyes shone brightly, and his body exuded a powerful aura. Most importantly, there was a golden cauldron embroidered on the old man's chest. There were 5 golden stars. This was a middle-grade alchemy grandmaster. "Everyone, I'm Xia Yan. I'm honored to be the host of this alchemy conference." This alchemy conference was organized by Lord Imperial Tutor and Spiritual Master Chun Yang. The purpose of this alchemy conference is to give the alchemists of the Great Desolation Ancient Kingdom an opportunity to interact. The black-robed old man smiled as he spoke slowly to the crowd. "It's actually the Imperial family's chief alchemist, Xia Yan. I heard that not only is he a Sky Realm expert, but he has also reached the peak of middle-grade alchemy grandmaster. His alchemy skills are second only to the Lord Imperial Tutor. I didn't expect him to be the host of this alchemy conference." Someone exclaimed as he recognized the black-robed old man's identity. The Lord Imperial Tutor and Spiritual Master Chun Yang are in seclusion to break through to the peerless alchemy grandmaster realm. Therefore, I'll be the host of the alchemy conference today. As long as you can pass the assessment of the alchemy conference, not only will there be many rewards, but you may also receive guidance from the Lord Imperial Tutor and Spiritual Master Chun Yang. Therefore, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Everyone must fight for it. Xia Yan's aged voice resounded throughout the square. Many alchemists immediately became excited. Their eyes were filled with passion. The imperial tutor and spiritual master Pure Yang were actually about to break through to the supreme grade alchemy grandmaster realm. If he could get their guidance, he might have a chance to break through and advance by leaps and bounds on the path of alchemy. Zhao Ritian, on the other hand, placed his hands behind his back and looked up into the sky, revealing a look of disdain. There are a total of 3 stages in this year's Alchemy Master Conference. Alchemists who are able to pass these 3 stages will be able to obtain unimaginable benefits. Let's not. Identification. Xia Yan looked at everyone with satisfaction and led them into the Celestial Master Hall. Identification? Could it be that he was identifying spiritual herbs? Isn't this too simple? It shouldn't be that simple. Even if it's just identifying spiritual herbs, there might be many unorthodox ones. Many alchemists were extremely excited and nervous as they followed Xia Yan into the Celestial Master Hall. Zhao Ritian rolled his eyes and looked at Ling Xiao. Not interested. Ling Xiao glanced at him and walked into the Celestial Master Hall with Master Jiaomu. Bastard! Zhao Ritian flew into a rage. Just you wait. Let's see if you still dare to be arrogant in front of me when I get first place in the Celestial Master Hall. Xia Hongxiu followed beside Zhao Ritian. Her forehead was filled with black lines and her face was filled with helplessness. The Celestial Master Hall was very spacious. Over 100 transparent glass boxes were placed in front of everyone. Each of the glass boxes was enveloped in a faint layer of restrictive light. Inside each of the boxes were various types of spirit herbs. A faint fragrance wafted out from each of the boxes. It's really identification? Someone was slightly taken aback. Looking at the hundreds of glass boxes, there was a trace of surprise in his eyes. As Ling Xiao looked at the hundreds of spiritual herbs in the glass boxes and smelled the faint fragrance of the herbs, a strange look appeared in his eyes. He seemed to understand the purpose of this Celestial Master Hall. More than half of the spiritual herbs were needed to refine the resurrection elixir. Identification? Interesting. Ling Xiao's lips curled into a smile. Everyone, there are 108 glass boxes here. There is a spiritual herb in each glass box. The identification test is to identify the spiritual herbs in these 108 glass boxes. Not only do you have to identify the name of the spiritual herbs, but you also have to identify the age of the spiritual herbs, as well as the attributes and uses of the spiritual herbs. The name, age, attributes, and uses of the spiritual herbs. You will get 1 point for each correct answer. You will get a total of 432 points. Those who get more than 300 points correct can enter the second test. Xia Yan's voice rang out as he announced the contents of the identification test. It's not that simple. Many of the celestial masters had a look of understanding on their faces. Identifying spirit herbs was the simplest and most basic knowledge. However, identifying the age of a spirit herb through its color, shape, and fragrance was a little difficult. As for investigating the attributes and uses of spirit herbs, that required even more extensive alchemy knowledge and practical experience to be able to do. Therefore, the simple identification test tested many aspects of alchemy knowledge. It was extremely difficult. Many celestial masters knew the name of the spiritual herbs, but it was difficult to identify the age, attributes, and uses of the spiritual herbs. Ling Xiao, do you dare to make a bet with me? I bet that you won't even get half of my points. If you win, I'll give you this cyan spiritual pill. This cyan spiritual pill can raise the cultivation level of the Dragon Tiger realm by 1 level. It's extremely precious. Only the Sun Moon Star sect has it. Ordinary people can't get their hands on it. If you lose, you have to apologize to me. What do you think? Zhao Ritian licked his lips and stuck close to Ling Xiao. He was holding a green pill in his hand. The fragrance of the pill was strong as he said arrogantly, "Cyan spiritual pill? It's just a lower-grade supreme pill. I'm not interested." Ling Xiao glanced at the cyan spiritual pill in Zhao Ritian's hand and said disdainfully, "Then what do you want for you to be willing to bet with me?" Zhao Ritian said, unwilling to give up. Ling Xiao looked around and walked to the door of the Celestial Master Hall. He took out a green stone that was the size of a human head and was extremely sturdy. If you win, I'll kneel down and kowtow to you. However, if you lose, you'll have to eat this stone. Do you dare to do it? Ling Xiao looked at Zhao Ritian and said with a faint smile on his face, "Eat the stone? What's there to be afraid of? It's a deal. However, I'm afraid that you'll be the one kneeling down and kowtowing. Ling Xiao, just you wait. You'll lose for sure." Zhao Ritian was stunned for a moment before he laughed arrogantly. However, for some reason, Zhao Ritian had an ominous feeling in his heart. He felt that Ling Xiao was up to no good. Chapter 222. Pure Sun, do you really think that we'll be able to find the person we need in this grand alchemy conference? Ling Juchen and Sage Pure Sun sat opposite each other in a secret chamber in the Celestial Master Hall. One was carefree and unrestrained, while the other had a ruddy complexion and white hair. Both of them emitted a powerful mental energy aura. In front of them was a smooth stone. On it were the scenes of the alchemists participating in the assessment. The stone was called the Image Recording Stone, and it was an ancient artifact. All of the alchemists could be seen by the two of them. My divination shows that our opportunity to refine the soul-returning pill is in this grand alchemy conference. I believe that we'll definitely be able to find the person we need. Sage Pure Sun's hair and beard were all white. He wore a long white robe, and his eyes shone with wisdom. Do you think it'll be Zhao Ritian? He's the most famous alchemy genius in the entire 8 Desolates region. He was born with powerful mental energy. Perhaps it'll be the pure young primordial spirit we're looking for? Ling Juchen was dressed in a black robe. His long black hair draped over his shoulders, and his eyes were as bright as stars. He looked extremely handsome, and his features were very similar to Ling Qingqing's. His gaze landed on Zhao Ritian, and a hint of anticipation appeared in his eyes. I don't know. There's nothing we can do about it. The soul-returning pill is simply too special. Although it's only a supreme-grade pill, it's not any less difficult than a Dao pill. If we were alchemy grandmasters, we wouldn't have to spend so much effort to find the pure young primordial spirit. Sage Pure Sun sighed softly. According to the records of the ancient pill formula, the pure young primordial spirit is extremely rare. Let's hope that we can really find it among them. Ling Juchen said with some uncertainty. However, that little fellow Ling Xiao is very strange. I don't know why, but my divination actually has something to do with him. Sage Pure Sun looked at Ling Xiao in the Celestial Master Hall, and a hint of doubt appeared in his eyes. Ling Xiao? It can't be. This little fellow must have suffered a lot in the past 3 years. He must have completely awakened the talent that Ling Zhen passed on to him. This kind of martial talent is even stronger than Ling Zhen's when he was young. However, he's not an alchemist. Even if he has the pure young primordial spirit, it won't be of any use, right? Ling Juechen looked at Ling Xiao with a hint of admiration in his eyes. Ling Juchen was the imperial preceptor of the Great Desolation Ancient Kingdom, while Sage Pure Yang was the master of the Spirit Herbs Pavilion. Both of them had sharp eyes, but they couldn't sense the aura of an alchemist from Ling Zhao's body. Therefore, they were very puzzled. If not for the fact that Taoist Chun Yang's divination had pointed to Ling Xiao, he probably would not have invited Ling Xiao to participate in this alchemy conference. That's why we set up the 3 views test. The first 2 tests are the most basic and also the most crucial part of the Alchemy Dao test. Only the 3rd test involves the pure young primordial spirit. Let's wait patiently. There will be a result soon. Sage Pure Yang said slowly. That's true, but I really think highly of that little guy Zhao Ritian. Maybe he can bring us a surprise. Ling Juchen smiled as his gaze landed on Zhao Ritian. In the Celestial Master Hall, after Xia Yan announced the rules of the first round, many alchemists began to answer questions one by one, starting from the first glass box. The first spiritual herb is as clear as jade and emits a milky white light. Could it be the legendary exquisite jade? It should be the exquisite jade. Such a huge exquisite jade should be at least 500 years old, right? No, I think it should be at least 1,000 years old. Many alchemists looked at the spiritual herb in the first glass box and could not make up their minds. They began to discuss softly among themselves. However, Elder Xia Yan walked over and reminded them that they could only answer the questions by themselves and could not communicate with each other. Only then did everyone shut their mouths obediently and began to answer the questions by themselves. However, the first spiritual herb was indeed the exquisite jade. Just its age alone was enough to make many alchemists stumped, let alone its attributes and uses. Many alchemists revealed a worried look on their faces. If the first spiritual herb was already so rare and precious, wouldn't the rest of the spiritual herbs be even more difficult to identify? Look, Zhao Ritian's answering speed is actually so fast. He's already answered the 10th question? Someone exclaimed. They saw Zhao Ritian pause in front of every glass box for a moment before moving on to the next one. In a short period of time, he had already reached the 10th glass box. As expected of the most talented alchemist in the 8 Desolates region. It's different to have a complete inheritance. It seems like these spiritual herbs that we rarely see are just ordinary to him. It seems like Zhao Ritian is very likely to be the champion this time. That's right. Look at Master Jiao Mu, Master Chong He, and Master Chong Ming. They've only reached the 5th spiritual herb. I didn't expect the difference between them to be so huge. Many alchemists muttered softly. Their eyes were filled with shock. Master Jiao Mu, Master Chong He, and Master Chong Ming were all mid-level alchemists. They were famous in the royal capital. However, their answering speed was far from Zhao Ritian's. Since the start of the assessment, Ling Xiao had let Master Jiao Mu answer the questions alone. He did not accompany him. To Ling Xiao, these 108 spiritual herbs could not be more familiar. He could even close his eyes and recite the names, ages, attributes, and uses of these spiritual herbs. After all, Ling Xiao was the supreme alchemist in his previous life. In the entire world, there was probably no spiritual herb that he could not recognize. Therefore, Ling Xiao really didn't care about this so-called identification test. What he cared about was that Zhu Chen and Chunyang Zhenren's goal of initiating the 3 views test of the Alchemist Conference was probably as he had expected. The resurrection elixir was extremely special. Although it was only a supreme grade elixir, it could help a celestial realm cultivator break through to the noble realm. Consuming 1 resurrection elixir could increase the chances of breaking through by 50%. It was too difficult for a celestial realm cultivator to break through to the noble realm. Otherwise, there would be a noble realm cultivator in the entire Great Barren ancient country. Therefore, the resurrection elixir could increase the chances of breaking through by 50%. Not only was the resurrection elixir the essence of spiritual herbs, it was also related to the will of heaven and earth. It could be said that the most important thing in helping a celestial realm cultivator break through to the noble realm was not the power of the spiritual herbs in the resurrection elixir, but the mysterious power of will. Therefore, although Zhu Chen and Chunyang Zhenren had broken through to become supreme grade alchemists, the chances of them failing to refine the resurrection elixir were very high. Only an alchemy grandmaster could guarantee success in refining the resurrection elixir. However, in the entire 8 Desolates region, alchemy grandmasters were as rare as feathers and phoenix horns. Chapter 223. The cultivation of martial arts involved the 3 treasures of essence, qi, and spirit. Spirit was the most mysterious part. Everyone's spirit started out as a fusion of yin and yang. Legend had it that there were peerless geniuses who were blessed by the heavens and earth who were born with a pure yang primordial spirit. There was no trace of yin qi in their spirit. Such geniuses were born to be supreme. As long as they didn't die, they would definitely break through to the supreme realm. This was because there was a condition to break through to the supreme realm. That was to have a pure yang primordial spirit. Those who had a pure yang primordial spirit, regardless of whether they were cultivating martial arts or alchemy, would make rapid progress. If someone with a pure yang primordial spirit were to refine the soul-reviving pill, even if they were just an alchemist, they might be able to refine it. Ling Juechen and Pure Yang spiritual master must have obtained this method from ancient books. That was why they put in so much effort to organize the alchemy conference. Ling Xiao was very curious about how Ling Juechen and Pure Yang spiritual master knew about the Pure Yang primordial spirit. After all, it was impossible for ordinary people to know about this. Ling Xiao, it's not too late for you to admit defeat. As long as you kneel down and apologize to me, Zhao Ritian, and say that you won't bother junior sister Hong Xiu anymore, I'll let you go. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude when you lose later. Suddenly, Zhao Ritian's smug voice rang out, interrupting Ling Zhao's train of thought. Zhao Ritian was already standing in front of the 30th spiritual medicine. He turned around to look at Ling Xiao and realized that Ling Xiao was still standing in front of the first spiritual medicine in a daze. In his opinion, Ling Xiao really didn't know anything. He wasn't even an alchemist. How could he possibly answer? After all, these 108 spiritual medicines were not common. Even Zhao Ritian felt that it was a little difficult. There were a few spiritual medicines that even he couldn't decide on. Admit defeat? Why should I admit defeat? Zhao Ritian, just wait and eat the cornerstone stone. Ling Xiao raised his head, the corners of his mouth curling up as he smiled faintly. You're so stubborn. Just wait and see how I'll deal with you when you lose. You dare to compete with the handsome and intelligent Zhao Ritian in alchemy? You're dead meat. Zhao Ritian smiled coldly at Ling Xiao before turning around and continuing to answer the questions. Facing Zhao Ritian, who was full of chunibyu, Ling Xiao could not get angry. He could only shake his head and prepare to answer the questions. Ling Xiao did not intend to be in the limelight and get full marks. As long as he could get 300 points, that would be enough. Thinking about Zhao Ritian's expression when he ate the cornerstone, Ling Xiao couldn't help but smirk. Yu Ling Long, 900 years old, belongs to the mixed attribute of earth and wood. It can be used to refine healing spirit pills, as well as spirit pills that can help earth and wood attribute martial artists break through their cultivation. Ling Xiao glanced at the spiritual medicine in the first glass box, and instantly, all the answers were revealed. The exquisite jade dragon was considered a high-grade spirit medicine. It was very precious, like ginseng, pure white and flawless. However, if one looked carefully, they would find a dragon-shaped string inside the exquisite jade dragon. The string was folded in 9 places, and it would be folded once every 100 years, so it was a 900-year-old exquisite jade dragon. Those alchemists rarely even saw Yu Linglong, let alone judge Yu Linglong's age. Ling Xiao paused in front of the first glass box for a moment before walking towards the second glass box. Green flower fruit. 300 years. Metal. Can be used to refine sword cultivators and saber cultivators to break through. Although it looks green on the outside, the most essential part is the power of aged metal. Ling Xiao glanced at the second spiritual herb and walked to the third glass box. Ling Zhao's speed was extremely fast. He glanced at the spiritual herb and wrote the answer on a piece of paper. Then he walked to the next glass box. In just a few moments, Ling Xiao had swept through more than 10 glass boxes. He was faster than most of the alchemists. He followed closely behind Master Jiao Mu, Master Chonghe, and Master Chongming. How is Ling Xiao so fast? Ling Zhao's actions immediately alarmed many alchemists. Every single one of them revealed a bewildered expression. Although Ling Zhao's martial arts talent was strong, he was not an alchemist. Although the first round was only about identifying spiritual herbs, how could Ling Xiao recognize so many spiritual herbs? Ling Zhao's actions also startled Zhao Ritian, causing him to jump in fright. Then he laughed coldly and said, Ling Xiao, you know that you're going to lose. That's why you pretended to answer the questions so fast. Are you trying to put pressure on me? Let me tell you it's useless. You're going to lose. Ling Xiao swept through more than 10 spiritual herbs faster than Zhao Ritian. Zhao Ritian could not believe it. So, he thought that Ling Xiao did it on purpose and did not know anything. Zhao Ritian is right. Ling Xiao must have done it on purpose. Did Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian make a bet? Ling Xiao is too young. He took the bait after being provoked by Zhao Ritian. If the two of them were to fight, Ling Zhao's chances of winning would be higher. However, if it's a battle of alchemy, I'm afraid that even the three alchemists are no match for Zhao Ritian. Ling Xiao is going to lose for sure. If he really kneels down to Zhao Ritian, it's going to be fun. Some of the alchemists had different expressions on their faces. Some were sighing, while others were gloating. However, Ling Xiao ignored them. He continued to sweep through the spiritual herbs at an extremely fast speed. The time he spent in front of each spiritual herb was very short. Soon he overtook Master Jiamu, Master Chonghe, and Master Chongming. So he's Ling Xiao. Does he really think that the alchemy conference is a game? Why would the imperial advisor and spiritual master Chunyang invite someone like him to the alchemy conference? Master Chonghe was a very thin old man with an old-fashioned face. He wore a loose alchemist's robe and exuded an aura that kept people away. Seeing that Ling Xiao had actually overtaken him, with such a relaxed attitude, as if he really knew all the spiritual medicines, he instantly frowned and coldly said, "What are you talking about?" "That's right. This kid definitely doesn't know anything. He's purposely picking a fight with Zhao Ritian. However, he definitely won't be able to pass the first round. He'll be eliminated very soon. Don't worry about it." Master Chongming looked very burly. His hair danced in the wind, and his vitality was majestic. He looked like a flaming lion. He lifted his head and looked at Ling Xiao with dissatisfaction. Master Jiamu smiled indifferently and did not say anything. Only he knew that Ling Xiao was not pretending. He really knew the answer. To Ling Xiao, identifying these spiritual herbs was not difficult at all. Soon, Ling Xiao arrived beside Zhao Ritian and looked at the 50th spiritual herb. Chapter 224. Black Heart Vine, 800 years old. It's a triple attribute spiritual medicine of earth, wood, and water. Earth and wood are complementary, while water is the main attribute. It's an excellent spiritual medicine for refining organs, nourishing spiritual pills. Ling Xiao glanced at the seemingly withered tree vine in the glass box and knew the answer. Zhao Ritian's face was obviously filled with hesitation before he finally picked up the pen to write down the answer. "Write slowly, don't rush. I think that suppressing stone looks delicious. It'll definitely suit your taste." Ling Xiao patted Zhao Ritian's shoulder and smiled as he walked towards the 51st glass box. Bastard! Zhao Ritian was concentrating on writing the answer. He didn't know when Ling Xiao came to his side, but he was shocked. The pen in his hand almost fell to the ground. Zhao Ritian was speechless as he looked at Ling Xiao's back and gritted his teeth. He felt that Ling Xiao was too arrogant. He was even more arrogant than him. Ling Xiao obviously didn't know anything, yet he pretended as if he had already seen through everything. This made him extremely unhappy. Ling Xiao finished looking through the 108 glass boxes very quickly. He then wrote down the answer and passed it to Xia Yan. Xia Yan was also a little surprised. He shook his head and laughed bitterly, thinking that Ling Xiao was just playing around. The other alchemists also looked at Ling Xiao as if they were looking at a fool. They knew that Ling Xiao would definitely lose this bet. Only Xia Hongxiu's eyes revealed a trace of doubt. Ling Xiao was too calm. There was no trace of panic at all. It was as if he already knew the answer to these 108 spiritual medicines. It shouldn't be possible. Xia Hongxiu bit her lips. She instinctively felt that it was impossible. The art of alchemy was broad and profound. It was far more difficult than the art of martial arts. Ling Xiao had transformed to such a level in 3 years. His martial arts talent was already exceptional. It was impossible for him to be so abnormal in the art of alchemy. But for some reason, Xia Hongxiu thought of the Ling family's mid-year competition. Ling Xiao was also so calm. In the end, those who mocked him were all slapped in the face. The identification test lasted for a total of 4 hours. Time passed quickly. Many alchemists didn't even finish the questions. All of them had long faces as they knew that they were about to be eliminated. Only a small number of alchemists managed to finish writing their answers, but they were also very nervous. After all, many of the answers were uncertain, and whether they could reach 300 points in the end was also an unknown. "Everyone, please wait a moment. After we finish correcting everyone's answers, We will announce the candidates for the second round. Xia Yan smiled faintly and then led everyone to correct their answers. Ling Xiao, you won't get a 0 when the time comes, right? I'm sure that only I, Zhao Ritian, will be able to get more than 400 points. Most of these useless people will be eliminated. Zhao Ritian licked his lips and stuck close to Ling Xiao as he said arrogantly. Zhao Ritian was still a little upset. Although he was the second person to finish the question, Zhao Ritian was extremely displeased when he saw Ling Xiao's nonchalant attitude. I'm afraid I'll have to disappoint you. I don't know about the others, but if I get 300 points, you're definitely going to be my cornerstone. Ling Xiao glanced at Zhao Ritian and said, 300 points? Zhao Ritian laughed coldly and said, I think you're just blindly guessing. If you really get 300 points, I, Zhao Ritian, will eat all these cornerstones. Behind the door of the sage's hall, there were a total of 9 cornerstones. These cornerstones were square in shape and the size of a human head. They were made of solid black granite and were extremely sturdy. Even a spiritual equipment would not be able to leave a mark on them. You said it yourself. Don't regret it when the time comes. Ling Xiao glanced at Zhao Ritian and smiled faintly. Of course. A man's words carry enormous weight. If you can get 300 points, I will eat all 9 of those gate-guarding stones. However, if you lose, you'll have to kneel down and kowtow to me 9 times. Zhao Ritian patted his chest with a smug look on his face. No problem. If I lose, don't mention 9 kowtows, I'll even kowtow 100 times. Ling Xiao chuckled, revealing a mouthful of white teeth. It was very bright. On the other hand, Master Jiao Mu looked at Zhao Ritian with sympathy. This guy is really asking for trouble. Soon, Xia Yan returned. His gaze swept across the crowd, but it lingered on Ling Xiao for a moment. There was a strange and solemn look in his eyes. Cough, cough. Next, I'll announce the candidates for the second round. Xia Yan coughed lightly. Immediately, all the alchemists had an expectant look on their faces as they looked at Xia Yan nervously. First place, Zhao Ritian, 420 points. As soon as Xia Yan's voice fell, a palace guard immediately pasted Zhao Ritian's answer on the wall. 420 points. Oh my god. That's insane. In the sage's hall, there was an uproar. Many alchemists looked at Zhao Ritian with astonishment. Many of the 108 spiritual herbs were very obscure and difficult to find, let alone get all of them right. This Zhao Ritian was simply defying the heavens. Out of a total of 424 points, Zhao Ritian had actually obtained 420 points, losing only 4 points. What a monster! Even Ling Xiao looked at Zhao Ritian in surprise. Although this guy was arrogant, he did have the right to be arrogant. You let me win, you let me win. Pa. Zhao Ritian laughed until his mouth was wide open. His face was filled with pride, and his entire body was exuding a flamboyant aura. It was as if he was saying, look at how awesome I am, come and praise me. Second place, Jiao Mu, 398 points. Third place, Chong He, 399 points. Fourth place, Chong Ming, 388 points. Xia Yan's voice echoed in the sage's hall. To everyone's surprise, Master Jiao Mu, who had just been promoted to Middle Alchemy Master not long ago, actually had a higher score than Master Chong He and Master Chong Ming, taking second place. On the other hand, Zhao Ritian was even more proud. He was almost wagging his tail. Indeed, he was the only one who had obtained more than 400 points. 17th place, Chun Shen, 325 points. 18th place, Zhao Mingho, 320 points. 28th place, Wang Duo, 301 points. 29th place, Zheng Ying, 300 points. Xia Yan announced all 29 names in one breath. After pausing for a moment, he smiled and said, congratulations to the 29 alchemists who have passed the identification round and entered the second round. However, before Xia Yan could finish his sentence, Zhao Ritian suddenly laughed excitedly. Pa. Ling Xiao, aren't you arrogant? Aren't you awesome? Why are you eliminated in the first round? I'm guessing that you didn't even get 10 points right. Hurry up and kneel down and kowtow to me. I, Zhao Ritian, am a man of my words. You're not going to go back on your words, are you? Zhao Ritian raised his nose to the sky and laughed out loud. He looked at Ling Xiao with a gloating expression. Chapter 225. Why are you in such a hurry? Master Xia is not done with his announcement. Ling Xiao glanced at him from the corner of his eyes and said nonchalantly, Do I even need to say it? Only 29 people passed the first round. Ling Xiao, you're not among them. Stop dawdling. If you're a man, kneel down and kowtow. Zhao Ritian's face was filled with excitement as he pointed his finger at Ling Xiao and said arrogantly, Young Master Zhao, I'm not done with my announcement. Xia Yan looked at Zhao Ritian awkwardly. He was speechless about this clown. However, knowing Zhao Ritian's identity, he did not dare to offend him. Zhao Ritian was stunned. Ling Xiao in 30th place, 300 points. Therefore, there are a total of 30 people who passed the first round. All of you will be able to proceed to the second round. Xia Yan finished his announcement in one breath. Zhao Ritian was dumbfounded. Xia Hongxiu was stunned. The rest of the alchemists were stunned as well. What the hell? Ling Xiao actually got 300 points? The rest of the alchemists almost vomited blood. Their eyes were filled with disbelief. Even Zheng Ying in 29th place was a peerless alchemist. If Ling Xiao could get 300 points, wouldn't that mean that his knowledge of alchemy was comparable to a peerless alchemist? This was too unbelievable. Especially Zhao Ritian, his face turned green in an instant. Impossible. Impossible. Ling Xiao is not an alchemist. How could he get 300 points? He must have cheated. Even if he didn't, you must have made a mistake. Zhao Ritian was in a frenzy. His eyes were about to pop out of their sockets. His head was shaking like a rattle drum. His face was filled with disbelief. Xia Yan's face changed and his voice turned cold. Young Master Zhao, please conduct yourself with dignity. Everyone saw that Ling Xiao did not cheat when he was answering the questions just now. As for me making a mistake, this is Ling Xiao's answer. Take a look at it yourself. Xia Yan's hand glowed and Ling Xiao's answer was plastered on the wall. It showed Ling Xiao's answer to every question. Question 1 by Ling Long, 900 years. Correct. Question 2. Correct. Question 3. Correct. Question 74. Correct. Question 75. Correct. Question 76. Huh? Why is there no answer for question 76? The rest of the alchemist's eyes were fixed on Ling Xiao's answer. There were no mistakes. But what shocked all the alchemists was that Ling Xiao actually only did 75 questions. The questions after that were all blank. Did this on purpose? The first 75 questions were all correct, and many of the answers gave people a sense of enlightenment. No one thought that Ling Xiao only knew 75 questions and did not know any of the remaining questions. It's really 300 points. Zhao Ritian was like a deflated balloon. He was dumbfounded. He looked like he had lost his soul. He could not believe it. He even suspected that Ling Xiao had cheated. However, when Ling Xiao's answer was posted, it shut everyone's mouth. Ling Xiao did get 300 points. It seemed like he still had some energy left. You're an alchemist too? Ling Xiao, you tricked me. Zhao Ritian suddenly thought of something. He stood up and pointed at Ling Xiao. His face was full of grievance. If he knew that Ling Xiao was an alchemist, Zhao Ritian would not have been so confident. In the end, he shot himself in the foot. Zhao Ritian felt wronged. Ling Xiao was too despicable. He was too cunning. He was too shameless. I never said that I don't know anything about alchemy. Ling Xiao smiled. He then turned around and walked to the back of the door. He moved the 9 gatekeeping stones over and threw them at Zhao Ritian's feet. Clang. The 9 gatekeeping stones made a crisp sound. Zhao Ritian was shocked. He seemed to have thought of something. Beads of sweat formed on Zhao Ritian's forehead. Zhao Ritian, keep your promise. As a man, you should keep your word. You won't go back on your words, right? Ling Xiao looked at the silent Zhao Ritian and said with a smile. Looking at the 9 gatekeeping stones, the crowd could not help but twitch their mouths. They felt their teeth hurt. If they ate such tough gatekeeping stones, they would break their teeth. Suddenly, the crowd looked at Zhao Ritian with sympathy. This is too much. Why don't I eat one? Zhao Ritian could feel his legs turning to jelly. His teeth were aching as he looked at Ling Xiao with a tearful face. I can't believe that the #1 alchemy genius of the 8 Desolation region, the handsome and intelligent Zhao Ritian, is a scoundrel who goes back on his words. Forget it. Since you're going back on your words, shameless, despicable, and untrustworthy. Ling Xiao sighed softly. His words made Zhao Ritian's face turn green. Stop. I, Zhao Ritian, am a man of my word. How can I go back on my words? Isn't it just 9 gatekeeping stones? I'll eat them. Zhao Ritian gritted his teeth and interrupted Ling Xiao's words. Crunch. Zhao Ritian grabbed one of the gatekeeping stones and bit into it. His teeth glowed faintly. After all, he had cultivated to the master level. His internal organs were strong, and his digestive ability was strong as well. Zhao Ritian's teeth were incomparably tough, and he was able to chew off a large piece of the suppressing stone in one bite. Zhao Ritian looked at Ling Xiao with anger. It was as if he was eating Ling Xiao's flesh and not the gatekeeping stone. Zhao Ritian chewed the gatekeeping stone and swallowed it in a few bites. However, the black granite was too tough. Even though Zhao Ritian's teeth were sharp, he still felt his teeth hurt. He was about to cry. The first one. Genius Xiao, there are still 8 more. Ling Xiao said with a smile. I don't need you to remind me. I, Zhao Ritian, am a man of my word. Zhao Ritian picked up another gatekeeping stone and started chewing on it. Everyone looked at him sympathetically. Even Xia Hongxiu had a strange look on her face. Soon, Zhao Ritian had chewed on 8 gatekeeping stones. He burped and picked up the 9th gatekeeping stone. Crunch. A crisp sound could be heard. The stone was extremely sturdy and there was no trace of damage. However, a few of Zhao Ritian's teeth were broken. His mouth was filled with blood and foam. He was in so much pain that tears were flowing out of his eyes. He started to wail. Diamond granite? Why is this gatekeeping stone made of diamond granite? Didn't you say it's black granite? All of you are bullying me. Even a piece of broken stone is bullying me. Zhao Ritian's face was filled with grievances. He started to wail. That was diamond granite. It was a treasure that could be used to craft weapons. It was extremely tough. It was hundreds of times tougher than black granite. No matter how tough Zhao Ritian's teeth were, they could not be compared to diamond granite. Which immoral bastard used diamond granite as a gatekeeping stone? Zhao Ritian was in so much pain that he wanted to kill someone. Young Master Zhao, I'm sorry. One of the black granite was broken. So, we used a diamond granite to replace it. I forgot to tell you, Xia Yan said awkwardly. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.